habit, but I need to be a creature of the new habit, which is this week at the round table of dim lighting, we're gonna open an envelope. Inside is something prompted by one of you that will lead to a conversation down a metaphorical rabbit hole. And you know what?
Could be a literal rabbit hole this time. I don't know.
And you know what? There's a second envelope too that we also don't know what's in that. We might open one, we might open two. Just go with us on this journey once we open the envelope. But first, I would like to hear from you in how you're doing. Stop making that bass noise.
Would you like to hear me make that noise more?
It's like an odd grunt mixed with like a subwoofer test.
You know, every once in a while, so my mom has this habit where she will just be doing something that's not necessarily difficult, something that you would not, categorize as difficult. Like maybe she's just like
reading a magazine,
setting a plate on the table.
Okay.
And then she's like, it kind of like she's making some noises, and I think she doesn't realize she's doing it, but I've noticed it. It's just kind of making like voices of effort, even though what you're doing doesn't require effort. And so Jesse pointed out that I have started doing that.
It's just vocalizing effort.
I'll just be in a room with her, and sometimes I'm just like, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, nothing. Did I do something? She said, "You just went," and I'm like, I guess it just runs in the family.
It must. So I'm curious.
Have you noticed this about me?
Well, I thought you were doing it to distract me from the question because you don't want to answer.
I'm happy to. I'm happy to answer the question.
I'm curious because you've been 10 days being the mom and the dad in the house.
I'm glad you rounded it up to 10, although it was just 8. I'm glad that you did that. If it seemed like a double digit.
Well, I didn't know if that didn't include travel days.
Yep.
So
it did. It included travel days. My wife.
She went on an excursion. She went to find herself, and there was a question if she was going to come back, right?
The details that you have associated with the trip are interesting to me. They're all incorrect.
Okay.
She had a friend who was going to Africa for work, and a good friend of hers, and she was like, "I'll go with you." So she went to South Africa. Had a great time.
She went to Cape Town?
Yeah. And
there's no water there. That's just a side curiosity, but the main curiosity
they're running out of water. Yeah.
I have is because
how did I do?
She did come back.
She made it back. Yeah.
What do you mean she made it back? She decided to come back.
She was always planning to come back,
okay.
But because South Africa. I don't really know what city. She was in Cape Town. I don't know what city's more dangerous than another, but it has a reputation for being a place that you just don't want to. You got to watch your back, She actually told me a story of she just went out by herself one day, and she was in like a relatively quote unquote safe part of the city, but a place that wasn't necessarily known for like violent crime because there's a lot of violent crime and robbery and armed robbery there. But
that's not what I meant by she might not come back.
No, but seriously, like she actually. She was kind of being dramatic, but she talked quite a bit about if I don't come back. Like we actually had a conversation about her funeral.
Oh.
Like she talked about details of her funeral, which was interesting. And I was like, "You're not gonna die. Don't just let's not talk about that. Just come back." But while she was there, she goes out one day by herself to the shopping area, and
that's what it was called. She went to shopping area.
A shopping area,
okay.
like a one of the streets that's like known for its shopping.
Okay.
And there was a woman, like a woman who kind of came up to her kind of aggressively asking for money, and was kind of following her, but she kept following her. Like it was one of those things where you kind of say, "No, I'm sorry, I can't help," but they continued to follow. And then she was getting a little bit freaked out, and then they have these public safety officers. So I don't know exactly what this is, but it seems like there are these people who are not exactly cops, not exactly, civilians who are stationed all these places throughout the city that are kind of just there to make sure that everything is okay.
They packing?
And I didn't ask her that question because I was thinking that, do they have guns? But I don't know. All I know is that a public safety officer kind of came up and told this woman who was like aggressively coming after Jesse.
Oh, wow.
To like back off. And then she walks a little bit further and another public safety officer comes up to her and she had on a backpack. Jesse had on a backpack and had on a very, very small necklace, like a necklace you could barely even see. And the public safety officer was like, you need to turn your backpack around so that the pack is in the front and you need to take your chain and put it in your bag because somebody will come up and rip the chain off of your neck.
Whoa.
And then she was like, okay, I'm not going out by myself again. So there was some cause for concern, even though I think I just kind of minimized it, but she made it back.
Yeah, it's not good for your back to carry a backpack around like that.
What
shouldn't really go on the front.
Really what you should do, if you're gonna do that, is you should wear a backpack on the front, but you should wear a dummy backpack on the back to balance it out.
Yeah.
And people can take the dummy backpack. It's just full of books like from the dollar store.
Breakaway necklaces, perhaps?
Yeah, exactly.
Or I thought you were gonna say you wear the backpack forward and then you wear another shirt over it, so it looks like you're like lumpy pregnant.
Okay.
You know how some people
you're
get
less of a target that way?
Well, that's true. Maybe you're more of a target.
I don't know. Anyway, thanks for asking about me. That is what you were asking, how I was doing. So I'll get back to talking about me. Let's talk about me. How about that?
She had a harrowing experience on the streets of Cape Town. Let's talk about you. You had to raise your kids without her for 8 days. Now that's danger.
Wow. It was pretty smooth. I'm pretty hands off. And by that I mean things like, well, first of all, the kids have quite a few activities that they are involved in. Things that they do during the week, some weeknights, and there was some sporting events on the weekend, and I took care of all that. Everybody got to where they needed to be on time, and etc. But
Uber?
Yeah, I just put them in a Lyft.
Okay.
No, I carried them. I drove them. And incidentally, did you know that our friend Michael, who has the little dog?
Yeah.
He sent the dog to William's house in a Lyft. Did you know this?
No.
That's how he got the dog to William.
Are you serious?
He put the dog in a crate in a Lyft and sent it across town.
When the Lyft shows up, you're explaining to the Lyft, hey, I'm not going, I just want you to take this crate with a dog in it to this house.
And the driver didn't speak good English, and so he couldn't really, there was no real confirmation that everything was going to be okay, but it was just like, I have a dog, I put the dog in the car and I typed in the address, just take this dog to that address. It ended up working. The dog's fine, the dog made it. I wouldn't do that with my child though. I'd probably do that with Barbara.
That's crazy seeing it.
Anyway.
Why didn't he just ride, because he didn't want to ride across town and then ride back?
I think they were in a hurry to get out of town, and it was like the last minute thing was to get the dog over. Anyway, by hands off, I mean things like.
There is an Uber for kids though, by the way. There's an app, is there not, where you can put your kid in a car and it's a certified ride service.
It's got like a bounce house in it or something?
No, it's just a certified ride service for kids, for your children.
And the drivers are they pass like a second level of test to be like
I thought
safe
this
around
existed.
Children.
I might just be thinking it needs to exist.
Well, I have sent Locke about 2 years ago when he was like 12. He and his friend, who was a year older than him, we sent them about 5 miles in an Uber one time.
And some people right now are thinking that is a horrible parenting decision. But once you ride in a couple of Ubers,
I don't think so.
It's nothing.
And we vetted the guy, when he showed up.
You looked at his stars?
Well, he wasn't just highly rated, but we had a conversation with him. And we talked about if there's if we feel anything weird at all about this driver, we're not gonna do this. We didn't feel anything weird.
I'm pretty surprised you still did it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Put a 12-year-old in an Uber?
I'm a pretty like. I'm pretty
Jesse?
I'm pretty hands
Was Jesse
off
part of that decision?
Yeah. Jesse was like
That surprises me.
integral to the decision. Yes.
Wow. I mean, especially because it wasn't that far. It's not like, I mean, you couldn't just take your kid.
I don't remember the circumstances, but I remember thinking it was a great idea. We should do it more often. So when I was taking care of my kids, so Shepard is really he's got a Switch. He's got a Nintendo Switch, and he spends quite a bit of time on that. Now, he has...
Is that how you talk to him?
He is
there a way to talk to him through the Switch?
Unfortunately, no. I limit him, well, I have parental control set up on the Switch, and one of the things you can do with the parental controls app is you can set a limit.
Yeah.
So I set 1 hour. If he decides to do it on a day, he gets 1 hour of time.
Yeah, and I have that, I have like apps running on the kids' screens. Like there's a shared family laptop and like the kids that have phones, you monitor all that in terms of like time and stuff like that, so they do the homework and they're not just on screens.
But here's the problem with it. It just gets to an hour and it sends him a warning. And it says, you have reached your limit for the day or whatever.
So for Shepard, translation is, it doesn't shut off after that. It'll keep going.
You can keep playing.
So the translation is, good job, Shepard. Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, right. And so I look at the app and it says, your child went 2 hours and 40 minutes over his 1 hour limit today. I'm like, well, what the crap is the limit for? You just gonna give Shepard a warning and that's it? No, he's gotta be, but I did tell him, I was like, Shepard, by the end of, he did this for a few days in a row. And eventually I said, Shepard, if you go over the limit, if I get the alert that you went over the limit, then you can't play the next day, so.
Did he stick with it after that?
Well, we kind of came up with that plan like the day before she came back.
Oh.
Yeah, it took me a while to realize what was happening.
You discussed the plan, but then you put him and his Switch into an Uber.
Yeah.
And then they he looked up from the Switch, he was in Tijuana.
No, I shouldn't have done that. But interestingly, I told him, I said, Shepard, you've got to get off screens. You've got to do something other than be on screens. You got to stop playing Zelda. That's his game.
With his life.
He's playing Zelda. And so I tell him that, and then 30 minutes later, I come into the kitchen and we have an iMac that's kind of off to the side of the kitchen. And he's watching YouTube videos about Zelda, like how to play Zelda.
And I bet you he says what my kids say, which is, well, I'm not playing, so it doesn't count. I was like, well, it's still a screen.
But the thing is,
like Lincoln I'll tell Lincoln, well, I don't want you to be on screen so much, son. I don't want you to play whatever game you're playing. I know the games, but it's not worth mentioning at this point. And he's like, well, I don't want you to be on screens. He's like, well, I'm not. I'm like, what are you doing right now? He's like, well, I'm on Amazon. I'm just kind of looking at some stuff. But that's a screen. He's like, but I'm not playing a game on it.
I'm shopping, Dad.
I'm
putting together my wish list.
Right.
That's what Shepard does.
And that's different. It's not different.
Well, but I will say.
It is different in his experience.
There is a distinct difference, and I think that studies show this. That's as authoritative as we get on the show. I think studies have shown this. At least my kids have told me studies have shown this.
Studies.
Playing games is a significantly different experience on your brain than just watching television or movies. So like sitting down and binge watching something, your brain goes into a very, like you're not making any judgments, you're not connecting any dots, you're basically just kind of taking in this story versus a game that involves strategy. So I kind of go back to that sometimes when I look at how long he's been in this game, but I think I spent a lot of time playing the original Zelda. Like I would sit up there in the extra room, we called it.
I never did it. Even with my namesake in the game, I never once played the game.
Yeah, all you had to do was get Nintendo Power and you didn't even have to play.
It just didn't seem.
We had Nintendo Power. They have YouTube to tell them exactly how to beat the specifics of the game.
Screens is a problem. I'll say quickly, I wanted to spend some time with Lincoln. I was like, all right, we're gonna do something today. You're not gonna stay here and stay on screens just because it's Saturday morning. So I took him and a friend of his to a place where we played VR video games. That's what we ended up doing.
We're not gonna stay here inside and to play video games and watch TV. We're gonna go to a facility where we have to pay to be on a screen. Okay, son?
Yeah, we did that, and it was actually, and I took Lily too, so it was the 4 of us all with like the VR headsets on.
Super cool.
Playing in the same world, and it was a zombie shooter game where it's like you're in the desert of Arizona. It's called Arizona something.
Arizona desert.
And
Arizona something.
you can only move under this tent, but then there's like zombies coming from every which way. And let me tell you,
it was fun.
after it took 20 minutes for us to figure out how to actually start playing the game, I had a visceral fear response a number of times.
To the zombies?
Yeah, I actually felt like what I'm doing right now is traumatic, like shooting zombies. Like, it was scary because they would crawl up.
Were your kids scared?
They would crawl, no. That's what's disturbing, is that they weren't scared, but I was scared. They would crawl up to your feet when you weren't looking. If you're looking one way, and you'd literally turn around and look down and there'd be a zombie clawing at your ankles. Like I would jump. And then the 3 of them would see me jumping and cowering and.
There's Dad. He's gonna be a great leader in the apocalypse.
You could pick up a tennis ball and throw it at him. It
you
wouldn't
did
do
that?
anything.
You were the tennis ball boy?
Wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, I'm interested in doing
Very
that.
intense.
Speaking of intense, I have every intention, or every reason to believe that going down this rabbit hole is going to be incredibly intense. Is that a good segue?
Oh, that was good. That was good. And now you're gonna say, but first, Ear Biscuits is supported by Mattress Firm. Now we've been talking to you about how choosing the right mattress and all the stuff that goes along with it is such an important decision for your quality of life. And for me, it extends to lots of people. I sleep with my wife. I also
That's good.
sleep with our dog.
Okay.
Jade has empowered me and Christy to make the right decisions about our bedding. And then you know what? This past week, man, I've got sickness go through the house, like vomiting sickness, kids coming up in the middle of the night wanting to get into bed with us. I'm like, you can't get into bed because you're vomiting. Sometimes I get out and they get into bed, there's like a shuffle. So all of a sudden, all of these decisions that I'm making that I thought were just for me and my wonderful spouse, the 2 of us, extend to my whole family because they're all trying to glom into my bed somehow. It's important.
You want it to be a welcoming place.
I want it to work for everybody. So not only is it extremely important to make the best mattress and bedding decision for yourself, but also for everybody else who might be in your bed. You know how I meant it.
I know exactly what you mean, Link, and you can do that with Mattress Firm, America's neighborhood mattress store. They let you stretch your budget further when you're looking for ways to improve your sleep, but they're more than just mattress experts. They have a whole package that helps you transform your mattress into a bed, from adjustable bases and sheets to headboards and bedroom decor. Go to mattressfirm.com/podcast to see what deals are happening right now. And then they also offer you a 120-night sleep trial to ensure perfection and a 120-night low price guarantee, so you know you paid the perfect price.
So no matter who you got in your bed, your spouse, your dog, any number of children, go to mattressfirm.com/podcast to learn how your sleeping could be monumentally improved.
Now on with the biscuit.
I'm grabbing the top envelope.
I only want to pretend as if there is one envelope.
Okay.
I see that there's another one, but I don't
want you to
I
think
don't
that
want
it's-
it to be in the back of our heads that we're gonna go to the second envelope.
Well,
unless the rabbit hole reaches a dead end.
Well, not a dead end, a conclusion.
A
I just
conclusion?
I don't want it to seem like a defeat if we open the second
Okay.
envelope. I don't want it to seem like, oh, we got to prove to ourselves we can talk one thing into the ground.
Through the ground.
Here it is. The one envelope. Mark M. I'm not gonna say his last name because I don't know what he's about to say or ask.
Okay.
And it may be incriminating. If you guys were stuck on an island and could only bring 3 items apiece and 1 mythical crew member,
Oh gosh.
who and what would you bring and how long do you think you'd last? Now, this has gotta be a team effort. I mean, this is like a freaking riddle here. What 3 things do you bring? This is not Okay, and this is Mark Martinez. Mark, okay, all right, we're up to the challenge. We can figure this out. The mythical crew member thing is kind of tough.
This can get a little dicey.
You know what? We'll try to answer that too.
Now, are we saying that
stuck on an island?
Are we saying that this is one mythical crew member between the two of us, or we each get one?
Well, we could bring 3 items apiece and one mythical crew member between the two of us.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we can bring 6 things. And I think. Well, yeah, I mean, you gotta have some, and I'm assuming this island, it's just like, I don't know what the terrain is. I don't know if it's jungle, I don't know if it's desert, I don't know if it's populated.
Well,
that would make but the implication is there ain't nobody there.
Let's just assume that it is your typical.
If we were stuck on Kauai,
like South,
I wouldn't have to, I'd probably bring like some toothpaste.
I think the implication is this is an island where there are no people other than you.
He didn't say deserted, but let's just assume that.
Stuck on an island. I mean, by your definition, we are currently stuck on an island. You know what I'm saying? Every continent is ultimately an island, right? So no.
Oh, that's true.
So this is like, there's nobody there except the person that we're going to bring and the items that we're bringing with us.
Right.
Oh gosh, well.
At first I'm thinking something really sharp.
An axe.
But then.
You gotta have an axe.
You gotta have, you gotta have like, you gotta have a sharp piece of metal. And it might as well be an axe if you're going that far.
I'm as much as I would like people to
I'm not
think
gonna
that
do
I
any
am,
blacksmith work.
I am not an expert. I only like to pretend that I am.
In survival or?
I like the idea of being ready for the apocalypse, but I'm actually not ready for it. You know what I mean? But I don't know if a knife or an axe is a better choice, but I have to assume that you can do most things with an axe that you can do with a knife, but there's a lot of things you can't do with a knife that you can do with an axe. Do you think that is logical? And we have to think about this together. Like if I bring an axe, you don't have to bring an axe. Or should I bring an axe and you bring a knife? And then we got all bases covered. Because you want to like cut open like the pigs that we're gonna kill.
Right.
And like, but I'm glad
to hear the island has pigs.
Well, every island's got pigs. When was the last time somebody crash landed on an island and there wasn't like a weird boar situation?
Yeah, well.
Some sort of animal that we can get our teeth around.
I recently rewatched Castaway with my family because we were going on this family movie Tom Hanks bender. Somehow we ended up watching Sully. And then the next weekend, I think we watched, minus a few key scenes, we watched Forrest Gump as a family.
Can you describe the scenes that you skipped?
And nope. And then we watched something. We watched A League of Their Own, which has Tom Hanks.
How much time?
And then not all in one night.
What was the span? How many days?
This is like a bunch of Saturdays in a row.
And you specifically
Friday
were like,
nights.
we're gonna go deep into the Tom Hanks universe.
Well, what you'll find if you start to think about it, just look at my list. It's like,
it's all great family movies.
It's great stuff. And then we watched Castaway, which that was a good one. And the kids start singing things like, "Oh, now there's so many memes that make sense now." We've talked about this.
That's what Locke said after Forrest Gump, man.
Yeah, and Lily said the same thing because she speaks in meme now.
Right. That's all. That's the only way they can communicate.
But anyway. And I know that you've been rewatching Lost with your family. So based on these two entertainment experiences alone, we should have better answers. If we're now, we've set an axe and a knife. So now we have 4 things to go. I guess a volleyball? Now
for fun?
Tom
or for
Hanks,
companionship?
because you talk about the whole starting a fire situation. Do you honestly think we could start fire
Yeah.
using friction?
Well, no, we could start it with the butane lighter. That would be the third item that we bring.
and it.
Like,
I mean, can you get? Does like a huge freaking butane refill? count as part of the item?
I think what we gotta do is we gotta get now first of all, I do think that while we do have a fire with the butane lighter, we also need to be learning how to start a friction fire. But I think you gotta approach this in two different ways.
Right.
One side of the problem is we have a fire that never stops. You know, like you've heard about this.
Oh, like a pilot light?
Well, I seem to remember that in some cultures that I've read about in the past, that it was like someone's job to always have the fire going. Like you always have a fire going.
It's not that hard to start a fire, is it?
Well,
That like
you don't want it.
Oh my gosh, this thing has to be an eternal flame.
Well, no, you want the fire burning at night as a signal because we don't want to be there forever. And you want it burning during the day, so you just don't want it to get too cold. But then we're teaching each other, not teaching each other, but we're trying out to learn. We're trying based on everything we've seen in movies to learn how to do the friction fire. So eventually, the butane lighter is just a backup for rainy days.
Could we have an internet connection that like is the new version?
Like a hotspot is the fourth item.
Like we had access to the internet, but we didn't have any. But somehow. This is almost like a Black Mirror meets Lost situation where we couldn't gain rescue via the internet, but we could access it just like any normal person.
I think that would be
I think that's what I'm
highly frustrating. No, because you gotta bring a Wi-Fi. That's first of all, as realistic as this situation is.
Right.
That's all that you're really, I think you're breaking the question apart because we can't have the internet. We can't have a functioning internet because now you're talking about we got electricity. Then
I was just trying to hack the
explaining.
system, but yeah.
So we got two knives and we got some. I think maybe we don't have something to start a fire. But if we don't get a fire started in the first month, we could die.
First week probably.
Water filter.
Water filter.
Like a something micron, whatever the number is that you need. Like
remember that time that we went on a camping trip with roommate Tim.
And he brought a water filter.
And Tim is the college roommate of ours that he's the reason why the rat lived in the couch. He's the one that we say that he was always messy. We just give him such a hard time. And we believe that he deserves it. He's the guy he was a chem major. And when we went hiking, we went to Linville Gorge one time, and he insisted on wearing his steel-toed boots.
Yeah.
And then he got so much chafing and blisters from these boots that he literally started hiking in socks.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
What a nut. And then because I think at the point where it wasn't like at the heel or anything, it was at the point where the steel toe stopped and it became regular leather. Something about that juncture in the shoe
transition zone
got very painful for him. And he just kept getting further and further behind. We would stop and wait for him, and then all of a sudden we realized he's holding his boots. He's hiking in socks.
Yeah.
And then we're like mumbling to ourselves, it's like, don't say anything to him, he's upset. You don't want to have somebody that's that down. It's like having somebody with like a broken hip hiking with you.
So you're saying that Tim, we're not bringing Tim. He's not a mythical crew member.
No, I haven't even gotten to what I remembered, which was he's a chem major. And like he said, another time that we went camping, we get to our first campsite, and all of a sudden he breaks out all this tubing. You remember this?
Yeah, yeah.
He breaks out all this tubing. We're like, Tim, what?
We have plenty of water.
What is this tubing? What are you making?
Yeah, the car is right there.
I'm making a water filter. And it had charcoal in it.
Yeah,
There was a whole filtration system that he like built from scratch.
And he got the water from the creek and we drank it.
I don't recall personally drinking his water.
I drank it. I trusted him.
You trusted him?
He may have made a mistake.
He was a chem major. He was not a chemist. He was studying it. He
had a water filter. It's not that advanced it's not that.
He had a lot to say about
advanced of a technology.
Yeah, but he was also hiking in socks. I mean, at some point.
I'd forgotten about that. But I'm thinking about the initial, like, because obviously
we talking like a life straw?
We need to figure out a way to have like a sustainable water source. We need to find fresh water. We need to use the fire that we're gonna learn how to start with just friction to like sanitize the water. But there's a learning curve to all that, you know. Well, so we gotta have. To me, it's less about thinking about all the things that are gonna work long term, because people might be like, guys, why are you using butane lighters and water filters? Is because we gotta make it 6 to 8 weeks just to get our bearings to develop a civilization.
I'll tell you something else you need. And I think I learned this from the time I used to spend with Bear Grylls on television.
Oh, on television, yeah.
You gotta keep spirits up. You've got to actually believe you're gonna make it. That
does this translate into who we would bring with us?
I don't know yet.
An item.
I'm putting out there that this is the most overlooked and possibly the most important thing is just a positive outlook, a confident assertion of survival that very quickly, I think, means we need some form of entertainment. You gotta have something besides tic-tac-toe in the sandwich toe.
Like a bocce ball set?
Like a bocce ball set. Because here's the analogy. I was telling somebody this yesterday. You know, we were hanging out with friends and our kids were there, our youngest kids, Lando and Shepard, were there. And we sent them outside so that we could have adult time and like have adult conversation without them coming in and again. And then this was before you let Shepard get on his Nintendo Switch. You did a good job for a couple of hours there without letting him have it. Him and Lando were out there fighting over the dog that took the Uber, by the way.
Right.
And then after they got tired of the dog, they were given a little trampoline.
Yeah.
And then they started fighting over who was gonna be on the trampoline because there wasn't enough room for both of them at the same time. And then all of a sudden Lando comes in with a piece of the trampoline that they had sprung off of it. So they sprouted a big hole in the trampoline because one side went boing. And when we were leaving later, it turns out that we were trying to put the trampoline back together because you want to leave everything better than you found it. We couldn't find this other piece. And I was like, you know what? It's really dark. I'm sure in daylight, I was talking to Jaden. I was like, I'm sure you'll find it.
Is it like
in other words, I'm not gonna stay here in the dark and help you look for it.
It was a small,
I
never saw it.
It was like a little plastic bracket that
held.
No,
but it was a trampoline, like an exercise trampoline? Like
yeah,
that size?
Yeah, but it was fancier than that and it had like little plastic brackets. But I said, I'm leaving, I'm not helping you look for this in the dark, but I'm sure you'll find it tomorrow in the light. But I said, you know what the key is? The key is believing that you will find it. Lots of times when you're looking for something, even if you got like a huge search party, and I'm not trying to be depressing, let's not talk about a missing child. Let's just talk about like a needle in a haystack, almost literally. And if you got all your friends coming over, I gotta find this needle in this haystack. There's usually one person in the back of their mind that's like, I'm picturing the moment when I do find this needle. I hold it up and I'm like, I'm not gonna be triumphant. I'm just gonna be like, hey guys, check out what I found. Everybody comes over and they all look. And they can't believe it. He's holding the needle that was hidden in the haystack. And he's thinking in his mind, when everybody comes over, I'm just gonna be like nonchalant. And then everybody's gonna be like, he found the needle in the hay. He found the needle. Come over. He found the needle. And projecting yourself into that situation as the hero that found the needle, all you need is one person in a group who believes that they can manifest that situation.
But in our
and
situation,
you know what
are we believing?
You'll find the hero. You'll find the needle.
What are we believing?
And the hero if you're not him.
Are we believing that we'll be rescued?
We're believing that we will survive.
But how does this translate into an item?
If you're confused by my speech, it's not gonna work when we're out on the island. I'm giving it to you again. Because I'll be like, remember on the podcast when I talked about the needle in the haystack? All we have to do is believe that we will survive.
Well,
right?
I think what
the
you're talking
analogy
about,
with the needle is that we will not die.
But I agree in bringing a can-do attitude, but that doesn't count as one of our items.
We need an item that at our lowest point.
Gives us a can-do attitude?
A bocce ball set's not a bad idea, but it's kind of stupid. So let's get smarter than that.
We can create a bocce ball set out of the correct size rocks. We can do that.
What? Not really.
I think that we've got,
one of the 6 items needs to be something that it's a hope giver. It needs to be like, again, for Tom Hanks, it was the volleyball. It was Wilson.
Well, I think with the knife, we could carve things and you've got art. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of ways to double down on some of the items.
Mm-hmm.
We could do tree art. We could become experts in like carving weird things into trees, and that would be our entertainment. We could actually create we could do, I don't know who our third person is gonna be. We gotta answer that question in a second. But the 3 of us, we like do voices. We have a whole forest. What we could do is have like a forest of characters. You carve the different characters, and then we create our own entertainment system that's just us voicing different trees.
An entertainment system.
We call it the entertainment system, and it's just a section of the forest.
It's just
see, I've answered you.
A sculpture
and
garden?
We can create a whole play that is about, you can do it. You can find the needle. It could be about finding a needle in a haystack. It could be about being rescued. It could be about starting a sustainable civilization.
Right.
That's all in our imagination. And with the axe and the knife, I mean, the more I think about it, we might need like a second axe. You know what I'm saying?
We could call it Knife Flicks.
Knife Flicks.
Yeah, it's like we're watching the stuff we've made with our knives.
Yeah.
We could knife flicks and chill.
So
What?
We got to talk about that third person. Let's come back to the other 2 items, because I think we're gonna get into some, this could get a little weird here in a second.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, right. Because you have to ask yourself the question, is the point of the third person just for us to survive, or is this, do we need to
populate the
island? I mean, I'm just saying that is a legitimate question. If we can just agree right now that this is not about populating the island.
No, Rhett, let's make it about populating the island. Let's choose an employee. Let's freaking, what? What is wrong with you?
I'm just throwing everything out there just so we can make the best choice.
This is not, first of all,
okay.
We would never talk about this if we weren't being recorded, but I want to remind you that we are. This is being distributed.
Hold on, this is one of the episodes that's going on the internet? This isn't for the private collection?
Even you just bringing that up for comedic effect is problematic.
I thought that 1 out of 4 episodes was for the private collection. Sorry, I forget this. Okay, so we're not gonna populate the island. I'm
40 years old and you're an old fart.
Hold on, we both have vasectomies. I mean, what are we even thinking? And
that's your reason that we're moving on?
We'd have to bring a doctor who's the third person who can reverse our vasectomies. He has to have the tools that he needs to reverse the vasectomies.
Why's it gotta be a he?
Well, it's gotta be a she, because then we have to impregnate the
doctor.
I know! We have to.
You're exactly right.
We need a female doctor.
Right. Who works for us. What?
The medic. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm just trying to be practical. Gosh, you're the one who made it awkward.
It's not Mars. We're not starting a civilization. We're just coasting the rest of our lives.
This is a theater.
And we're bringing along somebody who's gonna help us survive.
Okay, then
and boost morale.
Okay, all right.
You know what? Any mythical employee would be a great addition to our squad.
But we have to pick one. And I think we got to go with somebody who not only boosts morale, but is like more capable than we are. I mean, I think we're in like Morgan territory, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I think.
Yeah.
He's not gonna die anytime soon. He can solve a lot of different problems.
He's quiet too.
He's not annoying
Last thing we need is another talker.
Yeah, he's not annoying. He's just a guy that while we're sitting around carving the entertainment system.
He's thinking.
He's thinking. He's coming up with things. You know what I'm saying? And so I think Morgan.
The good thing about Morgan is you know.
No, he cannot get pregnant.
I know that. He gently redirects me constantly, you know? Especially when it comes to safety. Like he's got a way about himself
and
that
he
like
doesn't complain.
Cause I mean you guys know that I can't have I'm not allowed to use a knife on Good Mythical Morning. But Morgan is always. You'd think that Chase would be the one who was like constantly nervous, and he's only nervous when I have darts. Like Morgan, before we start rolling on an episode, he'll like come up if there's anything that I could really hurt myself with, and like he always has a way to just kind of gently bring me to a realization of
what's best for you.
What's best for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad he's there, so I don't have to.
Morgan is my father figure
in a more direct way. He can be both of our dad. Yeah, he can be a dad sometimes.
What is Morgan? That's what Morgan is to me. What is Morgan to you?
He's the guy that says things to you so I don't have to. Yeah.
Right, he's a mediator.
No, okay, so we know what would be great about Morgan.
He's got a can-do attitude, and he does. He has a can-do attitude, and then he does.
Now Jordan, you know, a newer mythical crew member.
Yeah, he's fresher.
He could be Cotton Candy Randy some days. And Cotton Candy Randy is, you know, we've already established is one of my favorite people.
So it's two guys in one.
Yeah, and he also can be Sexy Fireman. You know, he did that one time.
Right.
And I'm sure he can probably invent new characters too. You know? I don't know how capable he is. He's like from Orange County. You know, he probably is not, you know, good with an axe.
Yeah. He's good with flip-flops, I bet.
Yep, right. But he's definitely, in terms of the morale boosting, I mean.
I think we can handle that.
You don't think we need Cotton Candy Randy?
No, he doesn't like me.
He likes me. He likes me more. Yeah.
So it was kind of a selfish choice.
Well, but
on your part.
Okay, he could be something else.
So Morgan's coming. He's got a crate full of good stuff because he can bring whatever he wants.
Oh, really? No, he can't bring what he wants. So right now we've got a knife and an axe. You may think that's excessive in the whole metal tool category. Do we need like a fishing rod or a net? A net. If we got a knife and an axe, a butane lighter, a water filter, and a net.
What is that? Are we down to that's five?
That's 5. I mean, only if you're on board with this, with a net.
Net's a good idea because of fish.
And we can catch people as well. Well, you can catch all kinds of things with a net.
So
Morgan gets out of
There's people
hand.
swimming by the island?
If there's like I don't know, if there's the others, you know, speaking of Lost. But let's just assume there are other people. But
you can also use a net as like a structure system for the tarp that we'll need to put over top of it. Or forget the tarp, because we only have one more thing. We're just gonna put fronds. We're gonna put fronds over the net. And that's gonna be our idea for making shelter at first until we realize that we can't fish with the net when it's our hut.
And I've got what I think is the best possible item for the 6th item.
Can I guess what it is by asking yes or no questions?
I think I just need to tell you.
Is it a packaged product?
It's a yacht.
Oh, it's a yacht. Well, that kind of spoiled my gamemanship there. See, with this type of attitude, our morale's gonna sink real quick.
No.
I instigate a game and you're like, well, spoiler alert, it's a yacht.
It's a yacht. I mean, I could have said that first.
Yacht, the gas guzzler. How much gas? We only have
it's a yacht full of gas.
Ooh, that's a quandary right there.
It's a yacht full.
So a yacht that we never want to use.
No, it's a yacht we leave the island with. We don't even have to have this mental exercise because we just take our yacht and go back to civilization.
Do we have enough gas to get there?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think we just solved it.
I think we did.
Kind of an easy question. Morgan's there. He can probably drive a boat.
Drive a boat. We're gonna give him special training. We're gonna get him on lynda.com yacht training series, video series.
You want to go to the second envelope?
I could tell.
You do.
I can tell when you brought up the yacht. You were like, "I'm done with this question." Mark, thanks for that. Thanks for helping us think through it. There's survivalists out there who have gouged their eyes out listening to that conversation.
Well, yeah. If you know anything about surviving, let us know how good our first 5 choices were.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Because I have no idea. This is from Myra. What is it about certain foods that makes them only fitting for certain times of day? Is there some bodily circadian rhythm related function happening that makes us only want pizza for dinner and not breakfast? This is a great question. I have thought about it.
Well, first of all, you have thought about it?
I have asked myself the question before, why is it that we limit ourselves to these items for breakfast?
Well, maybe this isn't the right way to do it, but instinctively I just want to point out the outliers that like I've eaten cold pizza for a late breakfast. So brunch maybe doesn't count. But like a bona fide, I'm getting up at my normal time in my normal routine and I'm gonna eat a slice of pizza for breakfast. Like hot pizza, like order fresh out of the bag type of thing. That does sound weird. But whenever we're like, as a family, we're like, all right, what do you guys want to do before we watch another Tom Hanks movie? What do you want to eat for dinner? And if anyone says, breakfast for dinner, immediate eruption and celebration. What? Breakfast for dinner! Woo! It's like a gleeful subversion of all societal expectations rolled up into the perfect meal. And it's a beautiful thing to subvert dinner with breakfast, but subverting breakfast with dinner is just nasty.
Right.
So I think there may be a clue in this.
Well, I think maybe we can zero in a little bit. What is it about eggs? Let's just talk eggs.
Okay.
How did eggs become associated with being eaten in the morning?
The rooster crows.
Right, is it?
And the hen lays.
Is it the fact that, isn't it true that hens lay eggs every day? Like they lay an egg every day?
I believe so, roughly.
Which is just a fascinating thing.
Yeah.
That
as often as you take a dookie.
Yeah, but exactly. So
a chicken dookies out an
egg. A freaking egg that has a shell.
And a lot of dookie too, by the way.
Yeah, but in addition to the dookie, they have these little eggs that we can eat.
Manufacturing centers for eggs.
Now, you can leave it. Is it because you go out in the morning, you go to the chicken coop and you've got food for that day, like, and you might as well just eat it now, and so we just begin to associate it as a culture with eating it in the morning?
Because I'm gonna throw it into before refrigeration. So we're talking the cultural norm of eggs.
But you can leave an egg out all day, easy. You can leave it,
but not weeks or whatever.
Days.
You can store them up.
You can leave it, a hen can lay only one egg in a day and we'll have some days when it does not lay an egg at all.
Right, so it's not like clockwork every single day, but they can lay an egg every day.
It is possible.
According to Jacob's laptop.
I was in this, I'm that's what I thought. I think it has some, I think
maybe we should have brought Jacob with his laptop to the island. I'm sorry, you're sitting here the whole time and we didn't even consider taking you.
That's one item and one person.
Man, that had to have hurt.
Can you drive a boat?
I think Morgan's the better choice.
Okay, right.
Yeah, you agree with Morgan.
I would take Morgan.
Okay. Well, and you're glad we're not dragging you to the island. Because by the way, we freaking drug Morgan to the island. The whole time Morgan's like, guys, I could have been back living my life, but you chose me to exile on this island. He would hate us.
You want to go back to the other question?
I'm sorry, Jacob.
Because
I want you to come to the island.
Because I think we're onto something here.
I do too, go ahead.
So, the question is, are eggs, if we're right, now first of all,
it's cultural norms, that's what I'm getting
culturally, people eat different things in different places. When I was in Eastern Europe, I remember that they ate a lot of like salamis, like breakfast would often be like what we would call a charcuterie plate. You know what I'm saying? So like assorted cheeses and meats. And it isn't that we don't eat meat and cheese for breakfast, we do. But like the way that it was presented was very much like, this is new, this isn't the way that we think about breakfast. But in other cultures,
they'll also serve that as dessert instead of dessert, like a charcuterie plate.
yeah, cheese can be part of dessert. But
Which is weird to me too.
But is it the case that everywhere on Earth, eggs are a part of the breakfast meal? Because then it would hold what we just talked about. If it's true that the reason that eggs are associated with breakfast is because people go outside and the eggs are there and they're fresh and they just came out of the hen and then you go and you eat them, then that should be true throughout the world.
Why wouldn't that apply just as much to dinner though? It's like the last meal, you know?
Because you go out there and see if it laid an egg. It laid an egg.
When I went to Granny Caps's house, which is my ex-stepdad's mom, every other Sunday when he was still married to my mom, we'd go to his mama's house for Sunday fried chicken. Well, first of all, occasionally the fried chicken would be one of her chickens that she had,
Of course.
lopped the head off of and fried. But most of the time, store-bought chicken. But I would go out into her chicken coop after lunch every other Sunday and get the eggs for her. That's an experience I had. And what I'm saying is it was after lunch.
It was after lunch.
And she didn't go.
But you
breakfast.
could have gone in the morning.
Well, I wasn't there.
Well, okay.
Maybe she left them for me as a treat for me to find.
Let's approach this from a different way. So, here in the U.S., there's a few things that we consider normal, right? If you get a salad, you have the salad before your meal, and then you have your main course, and then you have a dessert. Now, dessert, as we've actually talked about on the show before on GMM, scientifically, one of the reasons that you always feel like you have a little bit of room for dessert is your stomach actually responds differently to sugars and fats. So sometimes you're eating a meal that's got a lot of fats in it, a lot of animal protein, cheese, that kind of thing, and you kind of get to a place where you're like, I can't eat another bite of this burger. I can't eat another bite of this cheesy, fatty thing that I'm eating as my main course. And then somebody breaks out the chocolate pie, and you're like, oh, I got room for that. I'm gonna open up my dessert stomach. And you literally, scientifically do have a dessert stomach. It's not a second stomach, but when sugar hits your stomach, it actually causes it to expand a little bit. So it actually makes sense that you follow up fats with sugars. Now, salads, we start with salads, but that is not that's a cultural norm here, but that's not a cultural norm elsewhere. I remember my sister-in-law, who married Chris, who his dad is Palestinian and his mom is Lebanese. And like they kind of were introduced to a totally different cuisine, like Ashley was through this. And they were going to these meals and they were all eating like a salad after their meal.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if that was just something that was, again, I don't know if that was something that was isolated to them, but the sugar thing makes sense. But I think that our choices for when we eat things, I think a lot of it may just be completely determined by all these different factors. And if you just like raised the kid up and said, eggs are going to be associated with the evening, and then really hearty meals are gonna be associated with the very beginning of the day, I'm just throwing it out there. Do you think that would backfire? Do you think that trying to give somebody a really hearty, fatty, meaty meal at the beginning of the day is like their just body's not ready for it? So you gotta go with something a little bit lighter? Like cereal? Well,
it could be debilitating. You know, I think, you start to feel like you can afford to indulge in something that's like a gravy-based meal at the end of your day when afterward you're just gonna pull the lever on your recliner as opposed to you're gonna pull the knob on your door and encounter life.
Yeah, you gotta go do your job. It can't be something that requires too much from your body.
Yeah, I remember the hardest I ever worked physically was, I wrote about this in the book of Mythicality, like farming and barning tobacco that one summer for my Nana's brothers.
Yeah.
And Aunt Frances made the meanest biscuits, man. And all this stuff. And so we go back to her house for lunch every day, and they would have the heaviest lunch. I'm talking like fried burgers and biscuits and gravy and all types of stuff like that, just heavy stuff. And after a week or two of that, it's like I learned that I couldn't handle it. Like I would eat it and then I would fall asleep because he would watch, Uncle Ross would watch we'd eat and then he'd watch the news and the weather. You know, a farmer.
Middle of the day news.
Yep, farmer always watching the news, always watching the weather. And I would like conk out on the floor. And then they'd have to scrape me up like scraping gum off the pavement. It was horrible. So you learn your lesson. So then, breakfast is the most important meal of the day is what they say, right? But just having a little sugary cereal thing is not gonna cut it. I try not to let my kids have that. So I think.
But why is one?
There's a middle ground, right?
Why if you put, this is a fascinating question because why if I put pork sausage on a biscuit, I call that breakfast. But if I put beef patty on a piece of bread, that's lunch.
And Carl's Jr. they try to slip in their burgers into breakfast on their biscuits or sandwiches.
They slip into burgers?
Yes. If you go to Carl's Jr. or Hardee's, they'll have all the typical breakfast stuff, and then you could add a burger patty to any of it. And some of it they have pictures on the breakfast menu. Like they are really throwing everything at it. But that's crazy.
When you isolate it down to something as simple as whether or not it's ground pork with spices versus ground beef without spices, why is there a point around 10:30, 11 a.m. where all of a sudden you can make this transition? It doesn't make any sense. I think that there are some real contributing scientific, cultural things that like contributed to it. But at this point, it's arbitrary. There's no difference between the way pork tastes at 10:30 or the way it tastes at 11 o'clock. When do they stop serving breakfast at McDonald's? Well, they serve it all day now, right?
They serve it all day because
traditionally, when did they stop?
Because now it's a treat. People got really excited about it. And again, I think breakfast I think it's 11, but maybe 10:30, but breakfast can push on and
it can
everyone's
go
gonna
anywhere.
Celebrate it.
Breakfast can go anywhere.
But bringing that like eating lasagna for breakfast.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
They don't even do that in Italy, do they?
I don't think they eat lasagna in Italy. I think we do.
That's a shame.
Probably a completely American.
Yeah, probably is. Chicken lo mein for breakfast. Dumplings. Like when we went to New York, Stevie was all excited about taking us to that
the dumpling place.
The dumpling place for breakfast, right?
And I loved it because
I had a hard time.
I can
it's just an association. Your body knows somehow. I wish I could explain it. Mira.
The funny thing is I feel like I could just wake up and eat a giant burger. And the only reason I don't is because I don't want to be judged. But if it was just me,
shame-based,
me and you and Morgan on an island.
Right.
And the one thing we brought was like burger machine. That was the sixth thing. It wasn't a yacht, it was just a machine that every time you opened it, there was a new burger. That would be cool, first of all. But second of all, I would open that machine up every morning. You probably would too because it would have a burger in it. It would be better than anything we could find and kill. But
that doesn't help us then in getting into this answer.
But the only reason I don't order dinner for breakfast is because A, it's not served often, and B, I just, I feel like I'm gonna be judged.
But I think if you look at cultural norms across cultures, Mira, you'll find that it varies so much that it has to lead us to conclude that it's all just regional habits. Nothing more, nothing less.
I'm sure if
And I think we can trace those regional habits to like, okay, it might be when the chickens lay their eggs or when you're expected to do certain things in different places, but it's all a construct.
Of course, you could also.
That's my answer.
You could also just Google this question, and you probably get a more educated answer. But it wouldn't be as fun. That wouldn't be fun, right?
The point is not to know. The point is to
act like you know.
just have a conjecturation about it.
Yeah, just have a conversation. Don't worry about facts.
We went through 2 of them, but I would kill for some pancakes at this point. Not too late. It's about dinner time for us. I'm gonna leave here and I'm gonna eat something.
Pancakes, huh? I'm not hungry because we had a late lunch today.
I didn't eat any of it.
Oh, you didn't eat any of it?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I made a mistake. I think I ended up eating lunch at like 4:30.
Woo, that's bad.
And so I'm gonna get home, and if sometimes we do takeout, sometimes we do some kind of prepared meal, and then sometimes Jessie will just make something. Sometimes I make something, but if she's like worked on something and she was kind of excited about me trying it, I'm put into this situation where either I just don't tell her that I ate at 4:30 and I just eat it and tell her that it's great.
Oh yeah.
Or I get there and I'm like, I'm not that hungry. We had a really late lunch. I need you to help me with this decision. What should I say? Should I fake it?
Absolutely fake it, because what's the worst that could happen?
Or she could listen back to this.
You eat a lot of food.
She could listen to this.
For the first time ever.
But it probably won't be as much of a disappointment. If she listens to this and I'll be like, she'll be like, oh, when you came home and you ate that food, you said you enjoyed it, but now I know that you weren't hungry. I think it's more important that at the time she felt affirmed.
Well, I think the most important thing is that I elected not to eat my lunch so that I could enjoy whatever plans we have for dinner as a family tonight. That's much more important than me eating earlier. As long as my family takes that away, then I'm golden.
But is that really why you didn't choose to eat?
Oh, absolutely.
You didn't choose to eat because we'd already eaten a bunch of crap on the show, which is also the case.
Yeah.
But the stuff that we ate on the show was so not sustaining.
It never
was just
is.
So
we eat a lot of crap on the show.
Yeah, show days, man.
Speaking of which, yeah, I mean, we eat a lot of non-breakfast food on the show for breakfast. That's why I'm like, breakfast of champions. I say that a lot because it's really difficult. We have to get in a lunch or dinner mindset with all the stuff we eat in the show, which is most all the time shot closest to the breakfast meal.
Right.
So again, we've trained ourselves to enjoy all types of things. You can too, Mira.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you for coming down the rabbit hole with us. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Ear Biscuits.
The rabbit had 2 holes today.
Yep.
Awesome.
Life's too short to be boring, so take the party wherever you go with the Sony SRS XB10, 21, 31, or 41 wireless speakers. Experience 3-dimensional music with the live sound feature. Also, water, dust, and rust proof to make any place an epic rave, and up to 24 hours battery life to keep the party going. Get 10% off the Sony SRS XB10, 21, 31, or 41 wireless speakers now. For more info, visit sony.com.sg.
Where do you play music? With Spotify on your mobile, you can take your tunes anywhere. You'll find all your playlists, favorite artists, and saved tracks, just like on desktop. Just fire up the free Spotify app to get started.
Welcome to Ear Biscuits, I'm Link.
And I'm Rhett. This week at the round table of dim lighting, we will be answering your questions about college.
Now, whether you are in college, have been in college, or might consider one day going to college, I think you can benefit from the conversation we're gonna have using questions submitted by many mythical beasts as a stomping ground for ideation, advisation.
You guys are bringing it.
And
You're
reminiscence.
We
went to college, we can, it's gonna take us back to that place again.
We've got some experiences that may offer some perspective that may or may not be helpful. But either way, hopefully you're going to be entertained. But the thing that I love about getting the questions from the mythical beasts is it because a lot of times what we hear them say is we hear mythical beasts saying things about the stuff that we put out on the internet, right? Because if you're just reading comments, you're just getting lots of opinions.
Right.
Good, bad, and different about the stuff that you're doing. But when you go out and you ask a specific prompt like this, it's like a little picture, a little picture into a little window into the lives of a mythical beast.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how you can respond to those prompts, that's Facebook, Twitter, maybe Instagram. I don't think we do it on Instagram, but lots of pictures on there, so you should follow us over there too.
Yeah, we got cool pics, man. Cool pics every day.
And hopefully the light won't crash down on us this week.
Well, we've been told it has been secured with it's like a metal plate up there now.
Yeah, I see it's bolted.
5, 4,
6.
4, 6.
There's 6 screws in that thing.
Actually, they only use 4 screws. Do you know what? I'm pretty sure it's very secure. Let's take a question, Link.
Right off the bat. Now, last time we didn't say last names because we shouldn't say last names.
Yeah,
because there's some roommate complaining going on here.
Yeah.
There's some real situations that we're gonna have to rectify.
It's gonna get
So let's
very
leave
real.
Let's leave some last names off. Charos, leaving off the last name. Hey, Rhett and Link.
Hey.
I'm gonna be moving into a rental house with 4 other people for this school season.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Charos calls it a season. Like it's a sporting
Maybe he's an athlete.
thing. There's only one bathroom
Uh-oh.
with 4 people. How do I assert my true bathroom domination from day one?
Very interesting question.
Well, Charos, you're on the right track here in just identifying that this is going to be a problem. There's 4 of you, there's 1 bathroom, and what you do at the very beginning when it comes to the bathroom, the apartment situation, you name it. Those first few days, maybe weeks, those are important times. That's the sweet spot to set the right precedent.
But do you not think that Charos is potentially stepping into the water on the wrong foot? I'm trying to make a bathroom analogy. It didn't work.
Stepping into the toilet water?
Stepping into the deep end, so to speak, of the bathtub by saying, how do I assert my true bathroom domination? Because
does your bathroom have a deep end, by the way?
Yeah, yours doesn't.
Your bathtub? My bathtub.
Yeah, I had it installed so I could.
I think there is
I could stand in it.
There is a slight deep end, and it's the end with the drain, but
Right.
it's only very slight.
No, mine goes down like another foot. Special,
Well, how does that water get out?
Yeah, that's where the drain is.
Oh wow, you're on a slope.
I'm making it all up. By
Okay.
the way, it's a normal bathtub. But I think the problem is that if everyone again, this is I can't remember what kind of ethics this is. My brain is not working today.
Stupid ethics.
But when you basically evaluate, if everyone were to bring this perspective to the situation,
There'd be trouble.
there'd be trouble. So if
Right,
everyone comes in with, I
you're-
want to dominate the bathroom, you are actually setting
Yeah,
you have to
right.
come in saying, how do I get bathroom tranquility? Not bathroom domination. I think you're asking the wrong question right off the bat.
Well, because I don't even know what. I think you're approaching this wrong. You just can't dominate because then your roommates will hate you. But by the way, I don't know what bathroom domination means. The thing that I thought it meant
I've
was.
done it before.
Well, I think
After a big burrito,
Oh gosh. Well, that can't be what
the temporary
is
domination.
referred to here. I think it's. You got one sink. I'm gonna put all my stuff around there. You know. Now, I will say after sharing. I mean, we shared a bathroom. In college, our first 3 years, we were in a dorm. We were on a hallway, and we shared a bathroom with everybody on the hall. But then, our junior and sophomore, junior, senior year, we moved into an apartment with 2 other guys, and then added a 4th guy. And so in that situation, I was sharing a bathroom. All 3 of us were sharing a bathroom. No. You had your own.
Me and Tim
Shared a bathroom.
had a bathroom that we shared.
And Greg and I shared a bathroom.
Yeah.
The one that when we left the apartment, we got charged, and one of the items that we got charged like thousands of dollars for was We took grip tape that you put in the bottom of a bathtub when there's a shower so you don't slip, and we spelled our names using the grip tape.
Because Tim didn't live with us initially.
And we didn't remove that, and then
And
they charged us hundreds of dollars to remove that.
And if
we
there
took a picture of it, and it was pretty embarrassing.
ever any doubt as to who was responsible for this particular form of vandalism, it was Rhett, Lincoln, Greg, because that's what it said in the bottom of the bathtub.
It said that, yeah. We did not remove it. So here's what I think. I think you shouldn't, you gotta be diplomatic about this, okay? You're forming a life, at least for a year, in a living situation with these 3 other people.
Yeah.
So you can't dominate the bathroom, but you can set the tone, for how it works. And I think it comes down to 2 words. Caddy system.
Oh gosh, I was gonna say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
No one can leave anything on the sink. Everyone has their own container.
Just like in the dorm, because on the hallway.
Now, do you bring it from your room or do you put it in a drawer and take it out?
I'm going worst case scenario. There's not enough room for everybody's stuff.
Keep it in your room.
Keep it in your room.
And you bring your little travel companion kit. We call it a kit in the McLaughlin household.
Oh, here's the difference between a kit and a caddy. A kit zips up. A caddy is open face.
Okay, caddy's good.
The bread's not on top of the sandwich, so to speak.
The thing I like about the kit is that if I have to go away for the weekend,
you already got it.
I've got it all together.
But access is an issue. With the caddy, it's all there. It's all got. I have a caddy now, by the way.
You have a caddy in your own
bathroom?
bathroom?
I have my own sink. Christy has her own sink. We have 2 sinks in our bathroom.
Your bathroom is massive.
I have a huge
bathroom. You can play racquetball in your bathroom. And you have a caddy?
And the irony is,
might be going a little too far.
We have pedestal sinks. This is how they were before. We did not design this.
Oh.
It's just a sink that then at the edge of the sink, it just zoops down like a vase to the floor.
No surface.
And then there's this, underneath the mirror, there's a 3-inch deep glass shelf in front of my sink and Christy's sink. And after being in the house for 6 months, Lincoln somehow put something on the glass and literally broke the glass shelf on my sink. So I have nothing. Hold
on, you just left it?
I just left it. because Chrissy and I were saying, we're gonna remodel this bathroom.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, 3 years later, nothing. And I have no shelf. I have literally, if I ball my fist up and put it on either side of the 2 faucet handles, that's how much room I have. Enough room for a little soap, and then like a little something like.
Where do you put the caddy when you go to the? Where do you keep the caddy, and then where do you put the caddy when you get to the sink?
There's a little shelf. It's a floor shelf thing that we like an IKEA crappy type thing that we put in between the 2 sinks, and there's enough room for me to put my caddy down and use it, and pick it up, and then Christy puts stuff down there.
But where does the caddy go when it's not in use?
Into a shelf with a door on it.
Somewhere else in the bathroom?
Yeah, 7 steps away.
Like a closet?
7 steps away, yeah.
Caddy in the closet. That sounds like a movie.
I really hate it.
Yeah.
But you know what? It keeps me on my toes, man.
Yeah.
You don't keep here's the thing. If you just have drawers and countertops galore like you have in your house, you accumulate a bunch of crap
you would not
that
believe.
you don't
You would
use.
not believe what my counter looks like.
And it's just strewn everywhere.
I think I have
but with the caddy,
17 and 20 ointments that I apply to myself every day. And
you got 20 more that you've stopped using, you don't realize.
And I don't even need them anymore, but
right.
I got so much space, I just put creams and ointments up there and might as well put that on my body.
If I can use the caddy system now and Rhett aspires to use one day, then it's good for you to go ahead and start doing that now. And Charles, go ahead and buy 3 more for your other roommates and say, you know what, you don't have to use this, you can buy any type of caddy or kit with a zipper that you want, but I just wanted to gift this to you. That's a way to assert your dominance, but I'll call it leadership, because now you're making a sacrifice, a few bucks out of your wallet in order to keep everybody in their own space. That is an incredible
plan. It's an incredible plan. You take the initiative, but you give them the tools to follow through with your initiative. That is the perfect plan. Now, we're gonna get into another question here in a second, but
we got some good ones.
We're gonna let you know about something. We're gonna let you know. Your Biscuits is supported by Mattress Firm. Now, one of the things about being in college, when you're in a dorm room, is that you're basically stuck with the bed that they give you.
Ours was not good.
It was not good at all. And one of the absolute luxuries of moving out of the dorm eventually and getting your own place is now you have the power of choice over what your bed is going to be. And it can, if you make the right choices, revolutionize your life because you're gonna be sleeping on that bed a lot.
That's right. So we want to encourage you, if you're in the market for mattress, bedding, anything associated with bedding, check out mattressfirm.com/podcast to see what deals are happening right now. Mattress Firm offers you a 120-night sleep trial on whatever you get and a 120-night low price guarantee so you know you paid the best price. And again, they're more than just mattress experts. They got the whole package. So check all that stuff out to transform your mattress into a bed, from adjustable bases and sheets to headboards and bedroom decor.
Go to mattressfirm.com/podcast to learn how your sleeping could be monumentally improved.
Ear Biscuits is also supported by Bombfell. Now, when I was in college, I remember, you have so much newfound freedom. You can wear anything you want to wear, which means I basically just wore the same 3 t-shirts on a rotation.
Yeah, that does it.
I didn't put any thought into it, and I missed out on a lot of self-expression because the other thing I could have done was gone to the mall and shopped.
Oh,
and
no.
I was never gonna do that.
No, don't do that.
And to this day, stepping foot in a mall just drains all of my power.
Yes, if you are like us, you do not like going out and shopping and trying on and picking out all this crap for yourself. You should use Bombfell. Bombfell is an easier way for men to get better clothes. You simply complete a questionnaire and then you're matched 1-to-1 with a dedicated personal stylist. Now your stylist emails you with his or her selections. You've got 48 hours to make any changes, or you can cancel the whole thing altogether. You are in total control. Then you receive the clothes. You have 7 days to let Bombfell know what you want to keep. You send the rest back. And they've got a keep more, get more system. So the more you keep, the more you get. Keep 4 items, you get 20% off. Keep 3+ items, you get 15% off. Keep 2+ items, you get 10% off. It's super simple, super easy. We both did it, filled it out, and got our wardrobe updated.
Yeah, enjoy the process and the final product of having clothes that it didn't hurt to pick out. And we've got a special offer for you. For $25 off your first purchase, visit bombfell.com/ear. That's BOMBFELL.com/ear, as in ear biscuit, to get that $25 off your first purchase. Bombfell.com/ear. Bombfell, open and close.
And now on with the biscuit.
Let's get back into this. Levi, I'm a sophomore in my engineering technology degree program. Engineering! And there tends to be lots of group projects this quarter. Common thing in college. It's creeping its way into the high school and middle schools. Group work. How can I politely deal with partners who constantly overcomplicate every detail of the project, thereby slowing down our progress? I thought Levi was gonna say, how do I deal with people who don't want to contribute, which is a different problem. This one, they're too nitpicky.
Yeah.
They're slowing down, you're gumming up the works.
This is a problem. Group projects present their own special set of problems because it comes down to the individuals who make up that group. Now I'll just give you a little story from my traffic engineering class.
Oh, I'm listening now.
Oh yeah, I got you.
You got me.
Hooked you.
Yeah, you hooked me like meat on a hook.
Yeah, like
in a
meat on a
butcher
hook. Well, you could have
shop.
made a traffic analogy. That would have been better.
You're hooking me like a
U-turn on a highway. Okay, so yes, part of the civil engineering degree at NC State University, or at least the track that I was on, had a traffic engineering component, and this was a whole class where we studied traffic, like lights, like traffic lights, like how you determine how long things should be green or red, and we also had the final project for the year was completing the 64 bypass, the Highway 64 bypass, which I'm pretty sure 20 years later does exist now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time it didn't, so it was connecting Highway 64 from like east of Raleigh to like way out in Clayton, or I don't know, just that part of the town. And so the group project was to take a map basically and use all the things that we had learned in the class to decide where exactly we were going to route the new road, and then to do the topographic like map of where it was gonna be and where the bridges were gonna be and all, and what the expenses were going to be and how much you're gonna have to pay for this thing and how you avoid this graveyard and all that stuff.
How many like farmers with their cottages you're gonna have to force off their land.
Because it was really a game of who am I going to inconvenience and how do we keep the cost down? Because you have to pay certain people off and you have to avoid certain wetlands and environmental concerns. And the craziest thing is the cemeteries. This is one thing I learned is that
you can't move those.
Well, you can't go, but you gotta stay away from cemeteries. And like, if there's a cemetery in a situation, it's like you cannot impinge or infringe on that cemetery for obvious reasons, but it's just something you don't think about until you get into a titillating traffic engineering class. But here's what I learned. I got partnered up with Karen and someone else. I can't remember her name.
Do you remember Karen?
And what I learned very quickly in our first meeting is that these two women had the subject matter so wrapped up. They understood everything that we were going to do. They knew exactly what they wanted to do, but they were deathly afraid of the final presentation. Day one, I said, guys, here's the deal. You do all the work. And I will do the presentation. I will do the presentation. And it was.
You like told them that?
Yes.
Because they were worked up about it.
Because they,
you could tell.
They had all these ideas. I was like, I'm gonna stay out of the way. They're super nervous about the presentation. I said, I will get up, I will do all the talking.
I will take full credit for all of your work.
I'm gonna tell jokes. I'm gonna be able to synthesize this information in a way that gets the. This is one of my highlights in college.
Oh yeah?
So this is a really, really boring class. Super boring class.
I can't tell.
I don't even remember exactly what I did. I just know that I had a whole routine about this highway. And the professor, who had never laughed at a presentation, was doubling over in laughter throughout this entire presentation. And you know what grade I got in traffic engineering on the presentation and in the class? A+, A+. That's what I got. I got an A+ because.
But you couldn't have done it without
Karen and what's her name?
Right.
You know?
Right.
But now I'm not.
So I'm bringing this back to the advice.
Okay. Division of labor. That's all I'm saying.
You're saying right up top.
Yeah.
You need to
figure out who's good at what.
You need to have a skills assessment conversation.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, what are your expectations? What are you willing to invest? What are you bringing to the table?
Right.
Let's divide this thing up so that everybody's not trying to do everything. If somebody's like, I'm really into the details, and somebody else is like, well, I'm really into the details. Like, well, only one of you can be really into the details.
Well,
It's the problem here.
I don't know exactly how you should break it down. It may not be as clean of a breakdown as it was for me.
I'll make it pretty clean.
Okay.
I'll boil it down to 2 words.
2 words.
Caddy system.
Okay, so you have a caddy system for the group.
I don't know how yet, but somehow everybody in the group gets a caddy. I'm talking toothbrush.
So it's a sleepover? I don't recommend that.
No, but I think you're right. I don't remember that much group work happening in my engineering classes.
There wasn't a lot.
But I do
There is now though.
I do remember we had to design I think it was the course was called Facilities.
Another fun one.
Oh yeah, and it was it was a whole listen, it was a whole course on how you take like a physical environment where something is being manufactured and you set up the manufacturing process physically within the facility. So do we need to buy fork trucks to move things, or do we need to put conveyor belts in? And I remember telling them, I'm gonna do the presentation. I didn't go as far as you did. Like I actually worked on stuff because I was with a couple of my friends.
I mean, I did some. It wasn't that clean.
I do remember at one point you had to load a bunch of, I can't remember what we were making, but it had all these like different powders and big bins that had to be moved from point A to point B. And so I found this roller bin that dumped on the internet. And I was like, all right, I was really proud of this thing. My whole presentation hinged around a dumping roller bin.
That you bought and used in the presentation?
No, I just put it in the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
There was no real money involved. There was no real facility involved. This is all imagination.
Got it, virtual.
But I remember I showed a picture of the bin undumped, and then I showed a second picture of the bin dumped. And I remember saying, look at this roller bin that dumps. It's not yet dumping. And look, then it's dumping. Watch the bin dump. And I went back and forth.
You did like a Letterman thing, like dump, undump.
Yep, dump, undump. I did that. And it was basically like a GIF before.
You invented it.
I invented the GIF. And I called it a GIF. And I got a lot of puzzled looks.
so
at the end,
So you're
I
telling me
believe we
that
got a C.
it didn't go over well.
We might have got a B. I don't remember. I think you're right. You gotta have, right off the bat, you just gotta have the conversation. How are we gonna divide this up? And we all gotta be in on this.
Everybody's got to pull their weight. I do want to make that clear. Everybody's got to pull their weight. I think me doing the presentation was pulling a lot of weight. Ask Karen and what's her name, they'll tell you. Here's another one. Alicia. I'm an agricultural major, animal science to be specific.
We had that at NC State.
Mm-hmm. And I have to spend the night in the horse barn to keep an eye on the pregnant horses in case they give birth. Now, this is much more exciting than anything we did. Let me just tell you right off the bat.
Well, at certain points it is.
How can I be comfortable and get some sleep in a horse barn?
This is what college is all about.
Well, not usually.
Camping out at the hind end of a pregnant horse. Just sleep right there at the rear, and you'll wake up when you need to. Trust me.
I think it might be too late once the afterbirth is all over you. I mean,
ooh.
Yeah. Can you? First of all,
how can I be comfortable and get some sleep? Well,
horses,
bunch up some hay, girl. Bunch up some hay.
Horses sleep standing up. Do horse majors sleep standing up?
Ooh,
that's the question.
Is that part of it? This is like a animal science fraternity T-shirt.
I called her a horse major, first of all, which is probably not what she calls herself.
That's like a pickup line at like the ag school.
Hey baby, do you sleep standing up? I don't know where you go with that one though.
Yeah, when your pickup line involves the word sleep, you're in trouble. That's not appropriate.
You want to see me sleep standing up? Like a horse? Yeah, you probably don't want to say that.
You know in what way I'm like a horse?
You know in what
That's
way
what
I'm
you're
like
looking
a horse.
For. That's what you're looking for.
And then it's not what you're thinking. Do you know in what way I'm like a horse?
Well, we just said it.
And then on the back of the t-shirt, it's not what you're thinking.
And then do you give the answer or is that in conversation? I sleep standing up.
She has to ask.
Oh gosh.
She has to ask. I sleep standing up.
My grandfather, my papa Neil, he tells a story of, I don't know, it's gotta be like 9 siblings. Back in the day when they were on the farm,
they all slept in the same bed.
The parents would just keep having children. And they literally, the children would start taking care of the other children and then they'd start working the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells all these stories, but he talks about at night. And North Carolina's not always cold, but it gets cold. And so they all slept in big beds where the mattress was made out of hay.
Right.
It's amazing how quickly things have changed in just 3 generations. I don't know about you, but I don't sleep on hay.
Well, not usually. It's Thursday nights.
Right. if you really get in trouble,
right, you
have to go sleep on the hay.
Yeah.
Do that every night, man. So that's my answer, Alicia. Well, she didn't ask how do you sleep. She asked how can I get comfortable and get, that is what she asked.
Yeah,
I answered it.
I think hay is the answer.
Bunch up the hay, girl.
But you're way ahead of the game, Alicia, because I think you're doing something that is immediately fulfilling as I picture it.
Birthing a horse.
Ethan, one of my suite mates has friends is in quotes, over almost every day. And when they're, quote, hanging out, she's very loud.
Okay.
See where this is going? And she sounds like a dying dog. My other suite mates and I don't really know what to do. Should we tell her that we can hear her? Should we call animal control? Should we pretend like it's not happening but record her mating call? There you go, there's another clue as to what's going on. And randomly start playing it in the middle of the forest and see what animals come? Help.
I
I've got some thoughts on this.
have some questions that I'm not
Well,
prepared to ask.
I don't think Ethan is here to respond. I mean, right off the bat, I will say that this is what they call free entertainment.
Correct.
Hey, listen, this is not the kind.
Why are you listening to a podcast when you could listen to your sweet mate and friends? In quotes.
I'm just saying, if this was me,
A dying
personally-
dog? You ever heard a dying dog?
I'm sure it doesn't sound that bad.
It sounds actually kind of sad.
All I'm saying is that if this was me, and this was something that, if this was a sound that I might hear from the next room, just receive the blessing. You know what I'm saying? just let it wash over you, and just be like, good for them. And don't try to stop it, and I wouldn't say anything about it. Now, maybe I can't put myself in Ethan's shoes. Maybe it's so overwhelming, but I gotta say that when we lived at Gorman Crossings, that's where we lived at NC State, apartment 3000C.
Yep.
If you wanna go by and check it out. And the apartment above us, there was some things that happened in that apartment, and directly above where my room was, and it was a pretty regular occurrence, and to me it was just like putting a little quarter in a machine,
What kind of machine?
Just a machine that made noises.
So weird.
It's like a noise machine.
Well, I think a neighbor, your hands are kind of tied. Maybe the neighbors too. But I think if it's your roommate,
It's not. It's a sweet mate.
This sweet mate situation smacks of
Smacks is probably not a good word.
inconsiderate, man. There's a level of, if this is happening every day and the dog's dying every day, then that's a tad bit inconsiderate. It smacks of that. Now did he say that he said something?
No, he's just asking what they should do. First of all, do not record it and play it for animals. That does not work, I can tell you from personal experience.
I thought that was a pretty good idea. I'm pretty interested in that science experiment.
Well, don't publicize it. Maybe just play it in the forest.
We don't sell tickets to it.
Yeah. But you don't put it on the internet. Definitely, you can that's illegal.
Calling animal control is a genius passive aggressive move, especially if they go all the way into the room. The dog's dying right now. I don't know whose dog it is, get in there. Animal control shows up with a net. I think that'd put a stop to it.
That's
the kibosh on the
Well, that's kind of like swatting
kabam.
somebody.
Yeah.
It's like mild swatting, and swatting
Not cool.
is highly illegal. It's like a major felony. You cannot call the SWAT.
Oh.
If you say that there's like a situation going on at somebody's house.
Does that apply to animal control too?
No, I'm saying that
It's not a SWAT team.
It's a mild swatting. Calling animal control is a mild swatting, so it's probably a misdemeanor. So we cannot advise that you break the law. You can't unnecessarily call animal control just because she sounds like a dog.
I got 2 words.
You always like to go to the 2 words. Okay, I'm listening.
Sound blankets.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say caddy system.
Nope, I would never have said that. Yeah, but now that you mention it,
caddy system. Maybe you just give them a caddy system that has a sound blanket in it.
Lots of. I just think they need to decorate their room with sound blankets. Everybody wins. It's warmer in there. And the sound doesn't come out. You gotta soundproof it. And you can go in 50-50 on that.
Okay.
I do think you gotta talk about it. Justin, I keep wanting to say the last names, but I'm not.
But I like the way you just left it. Justin has a question.
My roommate refuses to empty the lint trap. Now, is this another euphemism for the same thing?
I doubt it. I think this is probably literal.
Refuses to empty the lint trap.
Because I don't know how that would be a euphemism for it.
Well, emptying the lint trap, I think, is a euphemism for something.
But what's the lint trap?
I'll tell you later. How do I properly explain the importance of lint trap maintenance without seeming like a jerk? Well, yeah, I don't think your concern is seeming like a jerk. I think your concern is seeming like an over-controlling goody two-shoes. Now let me tell you how to use the lint trap. Now I can say this because I am this person. I am 100% in charge of the lint trap at my house. Every time I go through my passageway of the garage that I've talked about has the dryer in it. And every time that thing's got some dry clothes in it, or there's wet clothes in the other one, I always am happy to transfer it in there. And I'll always remove that lint trap. But you know what? There's lots of times when I can tell that lint trap has been run for 3 cycles. There's so much lint trapped in that thing. It's hazardous.
Now,
and I could take it around to everybody in my house and I could say, look what you did. This could have caught on fire. But I've lost hope, and I take pride in staying on top of it myself.
So
I've given up.
Clarifying question.
But I'm not in college.
By doing it, by being the only person who does it, have you rendered the rest of the family like basically incapable of it now? Like if you go away for an extended period of time, like if you're traveling,
that's a good point.
Is everybody at risk now just because you haven't done it? Because
Justin Rep makes a good point. Don't be like me.
You
gotta do something.
I'm not saying don't be like Link. I'm just saying that because I am also the lint trap guy at my house.
Really?
Yeah. Because and every time
do you lick your finger before you remove it?
No, I don't have. I'm sure I do not have as developed of a system as you do.
Because if you don't lick your finger first, you're scraping for a long time. You're like a raccoon pawing at a box that has a cake in it.
I just get a corner and pull and it all comes off.
Well, that sounds like you got 2 or 3 cycles on it.
I definitely have 2 or 3 cycles because I'm the guy and I'm not as attentive to detail as you are. But so we may be going 5, 6 cycles at my house.
You are in the danger zone.
So I think the answer to this question is, I think you've got to, again, I think you've got to potentially fake a situation.
Oh gosh.
I think you've got to put on you gotta get some clothes and like char them in certain places. And you've got to just in the middle of the night, one night, run in, grab your roommate and say, get up, there's a fire, because we didn't change the lint in the dryer. And then he's gonna panic.
And you've already been burnt because you're wearing the clothes?
Yeah, you need to look a little burnt. Okay, you don't have to do makeup. I'm just saying just a little charriness.
Okay.
You know, that can be done.
In the t-shirt.
Just a t-shirt. Just a t-shirt with some char on it.
Like a nipple peeking through kind of thing.
You can smell a little bit like smoke if you want to get some liquid smoke and just use it like cologne.
Okay.
That's another option.
Good.
You freak him out. He gets up, he thinks that the place is burning down, and then right before he gets out the door, you say, psych! But that's how serious this would be because you never changed the lint trap. Now again, I don't know about the legal repercussions of faking a fire. You cannot do that in a public place because that's illegal. But I think you can say fire just to your roommate.
You can do anything.
I don't know. We're not legal experts, especially if he doesn't go in and tell the authorities.
I was actually gonna say, gather up all that lint that he should have removed over 3 cycles, and then put it in the middle of his floor and burn it.
Show him how flammable it is.
Yeah, show him how flammable it is.
Again, I think that should come with a warning.
Tracy. Hi guys.
Hey.
I teach Intro to Sociology at Pennsylvania Highlands Community College.
I'm listening.
Sometimes it can be challenging to hold students' attention. Any suggestions for making learning more fun in the classroom?
I'm not gonna make any community college jokes. Okay? Because I could say something like, well, because you're teaching at a community college, I see how this is a problem. But I'm
not gonna say that.
I wouldn't say anything like that. Tracy, seriously, I think I have some good advice that comes from my father, who is a law professor, who has been teaching for an incredibly long time, like since 1980. And so we're talking almost 40 years of teaching experience. And now I don't know necessarily if this is he basically uses the Socratic method to teach. Which is,
what does that mean?
It's basically like calling on people and having a discussion.
A conversation.
And you know, it's a little old school, but here's the thing that I think is great about this. So every single day, and I don't know if he still does this. I haven't talked to him about it in a while, but
You haven't talked to him, period. You should talk to your
I'm
dad.
not talking to my dad right now. just kidding. It's not something we should joke about. It's not something we should joke about, but we did. Okay, so in any given class that my dad is teaching, he may call on you.
Oh, there's no raising of hands.
No. So he's like, okay, he gives a homework assignment or or the reading assignment.
He's
like,
talking about
these
it.
are the cases that you're supposed to read this week. And then Tuesday morning rolls around, and then he's sitting there and he's teaching and he's like, Mr. Neal.
What do you think?
And then he asks a specific question.
Ooh.
At that point, Mr. Neal has to stand up in class, and he says sometimes the entire class will be one student standing up and him just asking them questions and having a discussion, the entire class with one person standing up. That he has done that before.
That has got to make some people crap their pants.
But you know what it does, Tracy?
But if you're gonna be a lawyer, I
Yeah,
guess. But not all lawyers get up and speak in front of people. They're not all orators.
Yeah, but here's the thing is that he's actually told me that like this particular approach is people have tried to discourage him from doing it because it does put students in an uncomfortable situation, but he's old school and he's like, well, that's what they need to be put into an uncomfortable situation. If they're trying to be good at this job, they need to be able to be grilled and to take these questions and to be able to answer them. Now, I'm not saying you have to go as old school and as strict as Professor McLaughlin, but I do think that
Makes my pit sweat right now just thinking about it.
But I mean, we're talking about sociology at Pennsylvania Highlands Community College, okay? So I think that we're in a situation where we can expect someone to, I think you should just call on people, Tracy. Honestly, I think that's what you should do. I think there should be random times in any given class where you're like, Mr. McLaughlin, or whatever you call your students, and then ask that question. You don't have to make them stand up, but just let them know that they could be asked a question at any time. You will immediately have this new sense of authority as the professor in this class, and they will have this immediate respect, and because no one likes to look stupid. No one, and you know what? Then the people who aren't preparing.
Sometimes I kind of do.
Okay, that explains a lot. But I'm just throwing that out there, food for thought. I think that would be a way to get people to perk up and pay attention and know they can be called on at any time.
Tracy, just try it a little bit if you're gonna take Rhett's advice, and remember that it wasn't my advice. Taylor.
I'll take credit for it.
I'm graduating from film school in the spring. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea what I'm going to do after college. Probably you should do something film.
Yeah.
You should do something film.
Yeah, do something film.
For the first time ever, I won't be in school, and that's kind of scary. How do you decide what to do with your life when school no longer dictates everything you do? You know, this is real. I mean, Taylor's right. You spend your whole life just being taught at.
Scheduled. Everything's
and
scheduled
learning.
for you.
And maybe you've had a job, maybe you've had a full-time job, or something that's flirted with jobbiness. But it's different when it's like, okay, I'm not a student anymore. I'm just out there. For me, in my junior year, they presented all the engineering students with the co-op program, which was you don't take a semester off. You're technically still a student, but instead of taking classes, you find a job, and they help you find a job somewhere for a semester, and then you come back and you take another semester classes. So it elongates your student career before you move on to your bona fide career by probably another year.
But it's like it's more of a soft transition into full-time work as opposed to a hard transition from school to work.
I'm obviously not advising this to you, Taylor, because you're about to graduate, but this is my perspective was, I was interested in that because I could start making some money, and then I could maybe get my foot in the door somewhere, because they gave a stat like over 70% of co-op students got a job with the company they were co-oping with, and that actually happened with me. I started working at IBM because they also tell you how much people pay. And you know, I was very frugal, and when somebody told me I could start making money and elongate my college career, which I was enjoying, it was like a win-win for me. And I was like, IBM pays the most. They paid like $17.19 an hour. I don't remember numbers, and I remember that number.
17.19.
It meant a lot to me. I was like, I'm gonna rake it in. Back in 1998. So I did that, and I ended up getting working for them full time afterward. But it was kind of cool to go for a semester and then come back. And so for me, it wasn't that daunting. I didn't have that moment of, oh crap, now it's the rest of my life. Do you remember feeling that? I kind of eased into it. I liked working there, and they extended a job offer.
I didn't do the co-op, but I did a summer. I did a summer at Black and Veatch that then led to my job. So I did sort of like a soft co-op. So it was kind of a soft transition. But I think that specifically
I do think that's good advice. I think my first piece of advice is, if you're a student, look for something, even if you don't get paid or don't get paid much at all, to gather to make connections and to get some experience before you're out there. And then I think second of all, even if you haven't done that, it's what do I do after graduating? It's like, don't think of it like the rest of your life. Think about it just the next step.
Well, yeah, because it works totally different than it used to. I was gonna say specifically for Taylor, because we're talking about film here, this is very different than engineering. Like you can't just go off and say, I'm gonna do some engineering on the side. Like you usually have to be with an outfit or a firm or whatever. But as a film major, I would expect that Taylor, you are already creating things, have been creating things probably your whole life. But one thing that you should be doing, if you're not already doing it, is you should be very actively pursuing your own projects, because we live in a place now in a time where with a few $100, which pretty much, most people can find a way to make a few $100 by working somewhere, or can get a digital camera and a very cheap computer, or even borrow somebody's computer, there's free software. Like you're in a place now where you can, and probably even use the equipment at your school, be creating a lot of stuff, because any creative career is like, when people apply to work at Mythical Entertainment, we do not look at their GPA. I mean, some people put their GPA on their resume, like some people do, like when people are proud of it, when it's like 3.5 or higher.
Yeah.
But many, many times
it is an indicator, but it's not first thing
we
look at.
We don't really care what school you went to. We don't really care what your GPA is when it comes to an entertainment business. What we care about is your portfolio, what you have to show. What's your reel? What have you done? How does it apply to what it is that we need? And then what is your interview like? And do you feel like a good fit to what we're trying to accomplish here? So I would just say that there's sort of a different way of approaching things when you have you're coming from a creative background. You should be creating as much as possible, because it's probably gonna be some short film or some video or some YouTube series or something like that, or just a 1 minute of footage that's gonna get you a job somewhere.
Or being on a set and part of a larger team. I think, find a way to apply that no matter what your field of study is. Find a way to get your feet wet before you gotta jump into the deep end of the tub. M asks, what can I make in the microwave to eat that's not boring? We're back in college again. Gotta use that microwave as the main form of cooking.
Well, I've got a great answer to this, and I've demonstrated how to make it on Good Mythical Morning before. I call it the cheese disc. It's not boring at all. It is just one layer of Ritz crackers on a plate with then shredded cheese sprinkled on top of it to basically create a cheese blanket. You can't have blue cheese if you're feeling frisky. Then you put that thing in the microwave for approximately 60 to 90 seconds, and then you stand back, you open it up, and you have a cheese frisbee that can either be eaten or thrown. Tell me what part of that is boring. I'm listening.
Silence.
That's right, crickets, baby, because it's not boring. It's the best thing that you can do with a microwave.
Lauren asks, as parents, are there any hopes/fears you, meaning us, have with our own kids getting closer to preparing themselves for college? Yeah, Lily is a freshman in high school. So 4 years from now, she'll be in college. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
To think about that.
Yeah.
4 years is not a long time.
Yeah, and Locke has 5 years and he'll be in college. This is a pretty fresh subject for me. I was just having a conversation with Locke about this last night. So our kids just last year made the transition from homeschooling into regular school, public school.
Which I would say is going well.
Yeah, it's going great.
Very well.
There was it wasn't a great transition. Like the first couple of weeks, they were a little freaked out. Locke was freaked out about, all the work and just, how am I being measured and all this stuff. But he's gotten into a groove. He's done very, very well. But now he's in this place where these other kids are talking about prepping for college, and it is so much more competitive than it was when we were in school. So I remember when we were in high school from 1992 to 1996, like AP classes were a very new thing. In fact, I don't even know if my brother, who was just a few years older,
got college credit?
For like AP, like advanced placement stuff.
Right.
Just because they were like rolling the program out, at least in Harnett County, they were rolling it out in the 90s. And so it was very, like we took AP physics and we went to Michael Juby's house and just had him explain what the heck was going on with AP physics. But we didn't take that many AP classes, but now there's all this pressure to get all these AP courses if you really want to get your first choice in college. And so Locke is very driven, he's very focused, he's thinking about his future, his mind is in the future, he's very much like me, but yet he's not in Harnett County in 1992. So he's in a different place, and so his mentality is like he's got this pressure. Now, we put pressure on him almost unknowingly because we kind of have this like, you gotta do well. You need to put yourself in a position to be in a good college because it determines the rest of your life. And just the way we talk about academics, I think, has actually put some unneeded pressure on him. And so just last night, we're talking about how we're trying to plan some stuff that we're gonna do for the summer, which might involve some trips and some vacations and that kind of thing. And then he's like, well, Dad, I've got 2 sessions of summer school. And I'm like, well, let me look at the dates on this thing. And he basically has scheduled his entire summer as school because he's taking high school classes before he gets to high school because he's like, Dad, I have to take this science so then I can have more room for AP classes. And so then I can boost my GPA and get my first choice college. And then I was like, but Locke, we won't have the ability to take like a real family vacation. You won't be able to go to some of these basketball camps that you want to go to. You're gonna basically be in school and with just a couple of short breaks. And I like had this moment where I was like, I feel like we've put this undue pressure on him.
Maybe it's just, and maybe a lot of it does come from his own mind in the way that he is. It's kind of a role reversal. Whoa, we gotta go on vacation. It's an interesting dynamic.
Well, and then I started like reading about like, there's a New York Times article which was about all the pressure that kids have now to like, there's this, it's super interesting because it's this thing where like kids who are well off, upper middle class kids who have their parents are supporting them and they have the ability to pay for summer classes and for expensive tutors and that kind of thing. They're getting all this benefit from these AP classes, but then the kids who don't have as much money and don't have as much support from their parents, who are the ones who actually need the increased exposure to college, they're not doing this stuff. That's kind of a whole different issue. It's just sort of an interesting picture of the way that this has kind of created this race to the finish for kids to get ready for school. But ultimately, what we've decided is he's not going to take both sessions because I'm like, I don't want to look back and say, you didn't get to go to these cool places and go on these cool trips and do these camps that you want to do, which I think is ultimately more enriching as a person. And I'm like, you know what? You may not be able to get as many AP classes when all is said and done, but I don't want your life to be completely defined by just trying to have all this pressure to succeed, to just get into exactly the right school, as if that's going to make all the difference in the world. I don't know, we're just I don't necessarily have any specific advice about it, but it's very fresh conversation for us.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely not nearly as a futurist in my thinking as you are instinctively. So for me, it takes more discipline for for me to think about, wow, in the next year or two, we're gonna be making some concrete decisions about where Lily's gonna go when she graduates. But yeah, you're exactly right. All of those decisions trickle back to a year before now. You know, so I start to feel behind when I hear you talk about it, which is kind of freaks me out. But I do think that our experience in doing something and finding ourselves successful at something that we couldn't have declared as a major.
Yeah.
I mean,
and at a school that's not prestigious.
We thought we were gonna go to film school. That was nixed before we even left high school. It just didn't happen. It didn't seem wise enough to, the people who were influencing us. But it turned out okay. You take it's a balance. And I think you give a good example of maintaining that balance of okay, we've got to do, we should know everything that needs to be done, but then it may not be the wisest choice to do all of that.
Yeah, because
to be quote successful. It's I think it's very important that we teach our kids to listen to themselves, to get to know themselves as they're becoming themselves.
Because it could be some
they're so far from being who they're going to be.
Because it could be some experience that they have over summer in something they're trying, a camp that they go to, a country that they travel to, which is important to us that they have the opportunity to do that. I think that will probably ultimately contribute to who they are as a person more than just having all their ducks in a row when it comes to being ready for college. And you know what? Maybe they won't get into, like Locke has talked to, since he was a kid, he's like, I want to go to Stanford. And and I'm like, well, that's an incredibly difficult thing to do, and I'm all for it if you can work your way into that situation. But we come from a totally different place. Like there's NC State is a great school for what we did, but it is not a school that is particularly hard to get into. It's not, and it's like we didn't have this pressure. Like it was a given that we were going to a state school. We weren't going to go to a private school that required a lot of money, and B, it was going to be in state. I think at the time things have changed so much, but I remember our entire college career at NC State cost $23,000 or something like that. Like it was state school, especially California state school, is so much more expensive than that now. But I don't know. We need to move on to another question. But I just think that we're trying to answer those questions right now, and I think that the bottom line is we're trying to think about our kids as a whole person and realize that it's not just about the academic success and going to the right school, because I don't think, I think that it can mess them up emotionally and mentally if they apply this pressure at this developmental stage. There's so many things happening that I just don't want to put too much pressure, especially when you start seeing that they're putting pressure on themselves.
Mm-hmm. Heather asks, what do you do when your sweet mate pees all over the toilet seat? P.S. My sweet mate is a girl.
What?
Heather? We can't help you there.
No. But I think your sweet mate needs help.
Justin asks, what is some of the best ways to make the cafeteria food taste better? I would like some better food for the rest of my time that I'm here as a college student. I remember, staying in Syme dorm our freshman year every night. We were on the far, that had to have been the east side of campus. And the dining hall was on basically the far west side of campus. And you remember every night, we'd gather some friends that lived on our hall, and you'd make a pilgrimage. It was a pilgrimage all the way across
opposite side of
campus to get to the dining hall. I just have really fond memories of that moment. It's like you're done with classes, you get back to your dorm room, everybody starts gathering up. It's like, all right, you guys ready to go to the dining hall? It's like it was a concerted effort. It was like a an expedition, a backpack expedition into like the Everest or something. You gotta get geared up. It's like, you bringing snacks? Do you got a drink? You know, it's like, we gotta have something to sustain us halfway. By the time we get to Turlington Hall, we're probably gonna need to find a water fountain.
Right.
So that we can make it the rest of the way.
And you also didn't want to show up at the cafeteria alone.
So it was like
there was this sense of like,
bring a delegation.
Yeah.
It was like bringing your freaking delegation to the dining hall. It's one of my favorite memories of being in college.
I doubt that this is the way. I just doubt that this. There's many people listening that this is their practice.
What?
Though.
If they were in Sime dorm, I'm sure. I
don't know,
other
man.
people.
I think people are a lot more isolated.
Oh, you mean now?
Now.
I thought you meant other people back then, but there were lots of delegations, and then by the time when you got closer, it all come together.
Because we weren't connecting. Again, I'm not trying to sound like an old crotchety man, but
you are.
But I will say that we weren't connecting with people via our phones because we didn't have smartphones. So you made some legitimate connections with the people in your dorm room.
Especially when
In
you're
your
walking
dorm.
cross country to get to there. And then when you get over there, I don't remember anything about the food except that there was a whole machine for chocolate milk.
Oh yeah, the chocolate milk machine.
And you remember you go up to the thing with chocolate milk and
It had
it
bags.
was a chrome box with chocolate milk bags.
with a tube.
and
that
it had
came
the
out.
it had the white brownish tube because the chocolate milk had stained it over the years. And then in front of that there was like a I'll just call it a ladle. It was a heavy metal ladle, but instead of like being a scooper, it was like a knob on the end of it. And you would grab it. You'd grab it and you would lift it. It was very medical. It was like
a cow.
It was like
it might as well have been a cow's udder.
It was more like a turning cough situation.
Yeah, but we
You know
were in
what
an
I'm saying?
agricultural school. I think it probably was like tied into the milking technology they were using on that part of campus.
The knob was as big as the palm of my hand. And you pick up a handful of that metal and you lift up the arm and then underneath it, you put your glass and the chocolate milk would flow.
Yeah.
That made
it was
up-
a beautiful thing.
So I think my advice is just focus on the experience. The food's gonna taste like crap. Just pour chocolate milk on it.
Well, I was just gonna say hot sauce.
They have that there.
Just use
Or you can bring it in your
use hot
pocket.
sauce or take hot sauce with you, and that'll solve a world of problems.
Hot sauce and chocolate milk.
Let's close with a personal one
Okay.
from Morgan. What's the most annoying roommate habit you both had to deal with in college, possibly about the other person, and how did you deal with it? So I haven't really thought about this one ahead of time.
I think mine,
How did I annoy you?
I was annoyed. I think this is more about me than about you, but I was annoyed at you that you could so easily and without a tinge of remorse or anxiety, drop whatever studies you were doing and play Twisted Metal with Greg. And it wasn't that I wasn't
Yeah,
invited
those
or that I felt left out.
good old
I was
days,
just
man.
so envious of your ability to just say, all this stack of stuff that I'm supposed to be doing in my collegiate endeavor, oh screw it. I'm just gonna be over here having fun. And maybe this is more in retrospect, but I don't know. I know I feel this way now, looking back at the college you. I'm so annoyed that you had that ability. It's envy.
Well, I did study.
You
know,
did study.
I did well, but I didn't do as well as I would have if I hadn't have decided that, okay, this is enough. And I was very influenced by Greg's mentality, which we've told this story before, but one time he was trying to get me to stop studying, and he came into my dorm room and he said, come on, let's go. You know what you know, you don't learn anything. That's what he said as I was trying to study.
And I remember you told me that. You turned to me and you're
Well,
telling me that.
we've-
and I'm like, what?
Well, since that moment in college, many different times when anyone's trying to get ready for something, we've just said, you know what you know, you don't learn anything. Just come on, let's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
do it. And you know what? while that is entirely not true, because if you knew what you knew, there'd be no need for college. You do learn things all the time. But the sentiment was, come on, man, this isn't the most important thing right now. And
oh, is that what he meant?
my mom just made a stromboli. Here's the thing about Greg's mom, is that she had this stromboli that she would make, and she would
freeze it.
Yeah, she when she came to visit him, or when he went back home, he would come back with these strombolis, and then we would put them in the toaster oven. So they were like cooked and frozen, and then we just put them in the toaster oven.
Oh man!
And this is like the perfect college taste. You know what I'm saying? Like a toaster oven, thawed.
It's like a pizza in a blanket.
Stromboli, and he'd put that stromboli in that toaster oven. We'd put on Twisted Metal on the PlayStation, and I would be the Cadillac that had the hearse. I would be the hearse that had the fire that came out of the headlights. I don't think that's a character on the game anymore. And we would just play Twisted Metal for hours, and like that, you start smelling that toaster oven, heating up that stromboli. Like if I could smell that stromboli in that toaster oven in Greg's dorm right now, it would fill me with so much joy.
You can.
We can get a toaster oven in a stromboli.
In your memory, man.
And there was just something about that experience that just, I was like, this is what college is supposed to be about. Twisted Metal and Stromboli.
I never once tasted
you,
Stromboli.
You never came over to Greg's room and played the game. Never.
Not once.
Yeah, you didn't. You missed out, man.
Yeah.
But hey, we're having fun
and
now.
I hate you for it.
Well, I'll tell you.
It's annoying.
I'll tell you something that annoyed me.
How did I annoy you that speaks more about your shortcomings as a person?
Well, it's interesting because I feel like I did not have a very good, even though we were best friends all growing up and lived together all throughout college, shared a room together. I don't think that I would have ever been able to articulate your sensitivities and how particular you are about certain things until having worked with you for all these years. Like, I wouldn't have necessarily just said, because I don't think we knew ourselves very well. I don't think I would have known a lot about me personally or about you. We weren't thinking about those things.
Right.
So I don't think I would have said that, like, well, Link is picky, or he's really particular about what temperature it is in our room, and because I don't remember thinking any of those things until like we started working together every single day for a really long time. The thing that I remember, and it was a little annoying, it was also kind of amusing, was when you were still dating your girlfriend from high school.
So we're talking freshman year.
Freshman year.
I don't know what you're gonna say, but.
And you would talk to her on the phone. And you'd be curled up on the
Mr.
bed,
Fly?
on the bed. You'd get into your bed, and you'd be laying there in your bed, and you'd kind of like be
in the bunk bed?
Yes, you would be in the bunk bed.
Okay.
And you'd be in the fetal position, like facing away from me. So like, kind of creating this barrier, and like having your head on the pillow, and like talking into the phone, and like the nature of your voice would be like. High school. And it was like baby talk to your girlfriend for like maybe an hour.
Oh my!
And it happened a lot. And it was you've forgotten about this?
Yeah.
That was it. So that was one type of conversation you would have, and of course I was like still in the room, I was like studying or doing whatever, eating stromboli, whatever I was doing.
I think I was making dying dog noises.
No, those are distinctly different. And then the other conversation that you would have, which this wasn't annoying because you would be so quiet, was when you were talking to your mom. And you guys grew up together basically. You're a single mom, only child. So you guys had like a different.
Well, she was grown up.
Different.
She was the mom and I was the child.
Right, but you know what I'm saying. Like it was the two of
us.
you.
Yeah.
So you kind of have a different relationship with your mom, and my mom would have to call me to like track me down to like talk to me. Your mom would call you as well, but she called a lot more than my mom did, and. You would literally just be on the phone for like 45 minutes, and it would just be,
Now, Greg was a lot worse than me at that.
They're talking to his mom like that?
Yes, you're getting me confused with Greg.
No, but your mom.
Now, you're right, my mom would talk.
I wasn't annoyed by this because like you were just being quiet. But
my mom loved me more than your mom loved you.
Your mom would just talk to you and like fill you in on lots of things, and you would just you were just there. You were just listening to it.
I still do that now, yeah. but you have to remember that Greg's conversations with his mom were epic.
I don't recall.
Like I distinctly do. He would be like 2 hours on the phone with his mom.
No.
And she would be doing he put me to shame. But that annoyed you. And while we're on it, the thing that Greg always tells, if he was here, he always makes fun of me. Even when we saw him, when we were on tour, he's in Washington State and he came in, we saw him after that show. I think he brought it up again, but so it was like a running joke, but he would say every night at a certain time, which would be my bedtime, all of a sudden he would hear ding 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 ding. This is him telling the story. And he'd be like, well, I know Link's going to bed because he's got his spoonful of peanut butter and then he's poured Nesquik into his chocolate milk and he's stirring his chocolate milk in his glass with his peanut butter spoon. And that annoyed him to no end. He said that every night wherever he was in the apartment, probably playing Twisted Metal with you. Yeah. I'd be back in my room like, I'm going to bed now and I've done my studies.
Yeah, but
ding, ding, ding,
but
ding, ding, ding.
I think it's the combination of how systematic it is and how aggressive you are at everything like that. Like you chew very aggressively, you stir very aggressively.
I would be in my room, like I would drink it in my room,
right? But
bedside.
It's coming out through the thing.
It got him.
Like if you were to walk in and see you doing it, you'd be like going. Like there's a very aggressive intentionality to the way that you do the things that you've settled into.
Maybe it was twice.
And I'm sure it was a certain number. Yeah, I mean I don't recall that, but I can relate to it.
And you know what? I wish you the best in your schooling careers. It seems to me you were saying, I didn't get to say this, that Locke's definitely going to community college.
Yeah. Ultimately, we've made the decision. It's
I didn't want to leave that stone unturned, given all your community college talk on Good Mythical Morning.
It's no longer a 4-year college degree. We're not really expecting that of him anymore.
So we wish you the best, and if you're studying, if you're supposed to be studying right now and you haven't been, well, get back to it. Or you know what? You know what you know. You don't learn anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Play some Twisted Metal.
Go eat a Stromboli.
Make yourself a peanut butter spoon, dip it in some milk, and stir up that chocolate syrup.
Do they allow toaster ovens in college dorms anymore? Probably not, so I don't know, warm it up in your pocket. Just get a Hot Pocket. We had a guy that worked here for a while, but put a Hot Pocket in his pocket and literally heat it that way. Do that, that's very college.
Talk at you next week.
Oh, it's midnight. Who's that? Ben?
Bro, can I spend the night?
Why?
I got expelled for gambling in school, and my mom kicked me out, and I lost money.
Gambling? I thought you were only playing online games.
It's no big deal. I can always win it back. I just need you to lend me some money, please?
Know someone like Ben who just can't stop? Help them today. Visit ncpg.org.sg for more information. This message is brought to you by the National Council on Problem Gambling.
Some days, you feel like a rock star, and some days, you feel like a disco queen. With Spotify Premium, you can play the perfect song for however you're feeling, without ads interrupting your flow. And with offline listening, you can take your music with you wherever you go. Get 3 months of Premium now for just 99 cents.
Welcome to Ear Biscuits. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. This week at the Round Table of Dim Lighting, we are helping you guys out in the business sector.
Oh, well, that's such an overpromise. We should have talked about how we were going to platform this. I mean, I think the honest answer is we asked you to ask us questions about work.
In the workplace situations that we can help breathe our perspective where otherwise it may not need to be wedged.
And we shouldn't promise that we're going to help because I kind of feel
because then when we do help, we'll seem awesome.
Under promise and over deliver, but that's not even what I mean. What I'm saying is
that's marriage, not work.
It's like a doctor it's like a non-doctor giving medical advice. I think that we should always premise every single question and answer episode with, we are not experts. Do not take any of our advice. How do you say this? What is like the correct legal way to say this?
No horses were harmed in the making of this ear biscuit.
That's definitely true. No animals, period, I don't think.
Well, there might be an insect under my foot right now.
Oh gosh, why'd you have to make me think about that?
Who knows? I mean, you're not really the type to hedge.
No, I feel like we've been hedging.
Do you know that
my voice is also getting raspy.
Are we gonna go somewhere with these workplace situations and you're hedging because we're gonna be wedging ourselves in and
I'm just saying that
it may not turn out well if people follow our advice?
I'm just saying that
I don't know what advice I'm giving, by the way.
If we try to platform ourselves as a bastion of advice, then people may be disappointed because we're not, you remember Dr. Ruth?
You don't have to convince me. No, well, I'm generally aware, but I don't know what happened to her.
Nothing happened to her. I'm just saying we're not her.
Oh, remember, lest we forget the lessons of Dr. Ruth. You know what happened
to her. She was
also
also giving sex advice, which we haven't done yet. I'm not saying we're not going to at some point, but
that's a category.
I don't know. Maybe 2027, okay?
But
2027.
So the category was just workplace situations.
We got some really good questions. Let me tell you right now, you guys, we didn't even give you that much time to respond to this question.
And if you want,
there's so many good questions.
But if you're not following us on Twitter and Facebook, that's where we're putting this stuff out. So if you want to be part of the responding to prompts, then keep an eye out over there. Rhett and Link on Facebook and on Twitter. That's where we're doing it, right?
We're Rhett and Link everywhere nowadays.
We're also mythical in places for different types of stuff. So
but that's different. That's about the mythical vibe.
Right. Let's go with this one from Kyle first off, just because it's on the first page. I have a coworker who sits next to me and sings to himself at a moderate volume nearly all day.
Uh-oh.
He only sings the catchiest things that get stuck into your head, and it drives me mad.
Stuck in your head is what, I don't want to make Kyle sound like a moron.
Oh yeah, I didn't put a 2 in there. Example, everything is awesome. So Kyle's over there working, and then he's got a coworker sitting next to him. He's like, everything is awesome.
This is maddening.
Everything is cool when
Oh
you're on
gosh.
a team.
So
Everything is
this
awesome.
person sits next to you, Kyle, and man, this is almost unbelievable that this is happening. And you say it's a moderate volume.
Is it
a few
kinda like
key
that?
details?
That's what is it. Everything is awesome when you're living in your jeans. I can't remember.
Yep. I
When
think
you-
actually something about dreams.
You fly fishing streams.
Moderate volume, nearly all day.
Now, first of all, this seems kind of crazy, but it's totally believable, because if you're really susceptible to earworms, everybody's susceptible. But if you're really susceptible, and even people who aren't like particularly weak for them, sometimes you just find yourself singing it. Like last night at the dinner table with my family, right before dinner, Lincoln had his laptop up, and for some reason he pulled up.
Hold on, your kids have the laptop at the dinner table?
No, before we go to the table,
Okay.
we're like the kitchen counter, and he pulls up. He thought it'd be funny. He pulls out the most annoying YouTube videos and starts playing them, like the Apple Pen, Pineapple Pen.
He's still on that.
He like pulled that back out of the vault, and then there's this other song that they are obsessed with, and it's hey, you got any grapes? Da, 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 da. He goes up to a lemonade stand and it's a duck that keeps waddling up to a lemonade stand and ordering grapes. And it goes on for way too long. It's an animated.
Ducks like grapes? Because grapes will kill a dog.
I'm so dad right now. I don't understand it. I'm so annoyed by it. But then we get to the dinner table and we're having a legitimate conversation as a family. And then every few minutes, one of the kids starts singing it.
You got any grapes?
And
doesn't even sound like a song to me.
I could look at their face and tell that they didn't even.
Oh crap!
Oh. Okay. Are we burning?
We got water. Get the water up.
What? The water. It landed. We're gonna catch fire in here. But don't block the shots, guys. This is the best thing that's ever happened to Ear Biscuits. For those of you who are just listening and not watching, are we still rolling, Kiko? That's the most important thing. So,
I'm gonna get a towel.
So the main thing that you need to know if you're only listening to this is the sun fell from the sky. The dim lighting has become really bright because the lighting fell right in the middle of the table, knocked over Rhett's Ear Biscuit jar onto his phone, which is kind of wet, but it's okay. My water's fine. This is Kiko, that was Jacob. They're trying to clean up and make sure that like this place doesn't short out and just burn down. But somebody's gotta man the helm. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome. When you're living in your jeans. So
Speaking of jeans, my freaking jeans are wet.
I can't wait to watch it back. Like, I don't know if the shock on our faces was covered by the fact that the big ball came down right in front of us. It could have been the end, guys.
Sorry. Oh shoot.
I mean, don't listen. The worst is over, guys. Don't panic. It's cool. Everything is awesome.
Okay, we're back.
We got the light back up, so we're getting back in here.
I'm still wet.
And you know what? I have a little more information now.
A duck walked up to a lemonade stand and he said to the man running the stand, "Hey, bum bum bum, got any grapes?"
Oh, I've heard this.
Well, I'm such an ignorant internetainer, and you guys are probably screaming this if you know it. It's the Duck song from
old
March 23rd, 2009. You know how many views this thing has?
Let me guess. The Duck song, 2009, 274 million views.
That's a crazy guess, and you're still low. 18 million views.
318,000. Hey, for a blind guess, that's not bad.
I can't even see that as 318 million. It's so crazy. I got 1 million thumbs up. 318 million views. There's a sequel too.
Well, let's for
let's
another
move
time.
on. So, my kids, just to finish that little anecdote that left us.
Yeah, that's
it's your
fault.
It's my fault. I was talking to Christy and the kids. If it wasn't one, it was another one who was singing the song, and I would look at them, and I could tell by the look on their face, they didn't know they were singing the Duck song. It was just an earworm. So your brain just starts playing it in your head.
I can totally relate. I mean,
but what do you do about it?
Because even today,
Kyle,
we had a song. You'll find out on GMM later. But we had a song that was in our heads all day that we were randomly singing. I think I have a solution to this. Now you could do the direct approach, but the direct, honest approach to say, "Hey, man, you're annoying me with your music." Don't do that. That's no fun.
I don't think it will work. By the way.
Well, here's what I would do.
Okay.
You be the guy that's singing the song to himself. Okay, go through the chorus a couple of times, and I'll tell you what I would do.
Running the stand, hey, boom, boom, boom. Got any grapes?
No. Sing Everything Is Awesome.
Why?
Sing a song I know because
what difference does it make?
It makes. You'll find out in a second.
Oh.
You have to sing the chorus of Everything Is Awesome.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when you're living in my jeans.
Everything is awesome. Everything is good when you're not on a team. Everything is awesome.
And then I'm looking at you like, what happened to you, brother?
Every time the guy starts singing, sing louder than him in a slightly different key.
And
he will stop.
That's tough.
He will stop, I guarantee you. You will embarrass yourself. You will lose friends, but you will gain your sanity back. Try it.
Well, you